going forward.
The next 3 games for us, I think emotionally, as much as anything else, are going to determine how we go into the off-season, into the post-season. It will do. There's no doubt about it. We want to be in a better spot. We want to be feeling more confident about our play, and we have the opportunity to do that.
Tune in Thursday for more hockey action as the Nashville Predators host the Carolina Hurricanes in one of their last preseason games before the season. You can listen to the game right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 1025 and 1063.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 1025 and 1063, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. Well, the Titans take it yesterday, taking down Cincinnati Bengals 27-3, and we said all last week, as it was doom and gloom, and should the Titans trade Tannehill, and should the Titans trade Derrick Henry, and should they punt on the season, we couched all of those conversations with, well, it went on Sunday, you're 2-2, and things feel really different. 1-3 and 2-2 feels like a completely different scenario through 4 weeks of the National Football League, and that's where we sit now, where I think everybody's feeling a whole lot better about this Titans team today than they were a week ago.
An age-old adage, right? It's amazing how, especially in a football season where every game is so big, that you can change your outlook with one game. And speaking of that, I went as a spectator yesterday. I spent a lot of time in the sun this weekend. I went to my son's fall ball game Saturday morning. I went to the Vanderbilt game and endured that. Oh, boy.
That was
T's
an
and P's.
endurance.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, went as a spectator for the Titans game. The most enjoyable thing about it, because let's be honest, the fan experience at Nissan Stadium is still very subpar, all right? And I sat on the upper deck. Plaz, who has been a season ticket holder with the same seats every year since that building opened, right? He invites me a couple times a year. I go, and it just never changes. It's the concession stands and I don't want to dwell on that because it was a great day yesterday. The most enjoyable thing, though, was probably about 25-30% Bengals fans speckled throughout, and you get that, right? They've been a good team. A lot of Burrow jerseys coming in. They get off to a good start. They're feeling good. They're standing up. Burrow, here we go. The blank stares on their faces from quarters 2 through 4. And then they're getting up and leaving, and all the Titans fans kind of saying, yeah, see you later. Have a nice trip back to Cincinnati.
It felt like there were some demons exercised yesterday.
So their outlook, as they're driving home, I was thinking about them. Like they got trouble. Right, the Bengals 1-3. That calf isn't getting any better. They've got 2 more games for the bye week. What? That's becoming a story, right? That's always the case. The national story about the Titans. Oh, what's wrong with the Bengals? What's going on with the Bengals? It's not. Hey, that Titans team looked pretty good.
Yeah, they look great. Well, let me not go that far because people use the word "great" a little bit too much.
Right. I thought they did look great.
I thought they looked a lot better than what they had in previous weeks. I think, the previous week, I think they look a lot better than what they have all season. Season's still young. But they did exactly what we talked about earlier in the week. It was, after going over the film, there were plays to be made. And I stress that. There's plays in the back end to be made. You just got to block it up. And then, you'll get an opportunity. And it worked out that way. When they blocked it up, they got opportunities to make plays down. Because Cincinnati's secondary isn't good whatsoever. Their front seven is okay at times, but then good at others, really good at others.
Not the Browns' front seven.
It's definitely not the Browns. And it's really,
I don't know whose front seven is
really
like the Browns.
not the Saints' front 7. It's really not. It's a collection of guys that they can play really well at times, but then they can be no-shows. The Titans did exactly what we said. Run at their best pass rusher, wear him down, and then you use that to play action. They did it. They had a few big plays in the passing game. They had one that he should have hit. D-Hop said he should have caught it. I thought he should have caught it.
I thought he should have caught
yesterday. That. I knew he was going to say he should have caught it because to him, that's like a routine catch. But this Titan team went out there and they stood toe-to-toe with a team that right now isn't better than them. They may have the better quarterback, but they're not a better team.
Because even though they have the better quarterback, their quarterback right now is not nearly close to Joe Burrow.
The way that we have seen him played over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And, listen, they're in a world of trouble moving forward. But you can't take away, with that aside, you can't take away with what the Titans did as an offense, as a defense, and as a special teams unit. The text came rolling in from Willy Donick as the field goal went through the upright from 50-something yards out. And, they are getting production from guys that at the beginning of the season, people were, who is this guy? They go out and get this no-name guy. This guy shouldn't have, but they're getting production from those guys. Chigakonkwo finally made some key catches this past game. Chris Moore, big catch down the sideline. Nick Westbrook-Akine, big catch again in the field of play when they need it. D-Hop came up big. I talked about earlier in the week the catches. You can have a lot of catches, but where are the meaningful catches? D-Hop had meaningful catches this game, and that's good for this offense, especially without Treylon Burks. I'm going to say this. I like Treylon Burks a lot. I think he has a lot of potential. But right now, Chris Moore is playing better. Nick Westbrook-Akine is playing better. Vrabel, you need to play them more. They need, even when Treylon comes back, they need to be more in the rotation because the only thing they do is make plays. I've never understood this, and maybe I take it personal because it was happening to me when I played. I just went out there and made plays but never could crack the starting lineup, but never could get more time. These two guys are doing nothing but making plays. When are you going to put them in the game more? I like Treylon, but he's not producing, and it's all about winning football games.
And I don't want to undermine the importance of that big play against the Chargers, but that's the only thing that Treylon Burks has done.
That's what I'm saying. He has the potential, and I love the potential. But potential that doesn't materialize, doesn't materialize on the field, it's just potential.
Yeah.
And I don't want to act like he's not going to be a factor for the team, or that he shouldn't be a factor. He needs to be a factor for this football team.
Just like I talked about Chigakonkwo all this week and even yesterday on our pregame show, award-winning pregame show.
Yep.
You
Heard
have
it here
to,
first.
I was listening.
You have to show up in this game, in games like this. Chig showed up. Chris Moore showed up.
Nick Westbrook-Akine
showed up. And Derrick Henry finally got some room. Hey, let's take our hat off to the offensive line. Let's really do it. Tannehill got sacked 3 times. He holds on to the damn football a little bit too long.
He does.
He needs to throw it away sometimes.
And there was one sack.
He has his whole career, really.
Yeah.
One sack that was recorded in the box score as a sack that wasn't really a sack. It was the high snap.
Yes, and he had to fall down.
That he had to fall down.
So,
so
really
that wasn't really a sack.
But,
it's a bad snap.
It's a bad snap. But let's take our hat off to this offensive line because they play. Now, Derrick Henry ran the ball hard, broke some tackles.
Broke a lot of tackles.
But for the most part, this offensive line who we have sent through the ringer for the last 3 games, even in preseason, they did a good job this past game, which allowed them to get into the plays that they wanted to get into.
No question. Case in point, if you recorded the game, watch the Derrick Henry touchdown run, or you just pull it up on your computer. Watch Radens and Dillard on the and they got good tight end play. As Josh Wiley, hello. Welcome to the league.
Welcome to the NFL, Josh Wiley.
Not only is he making a couple catches, but he made a great kick-out block on that touchdown run. And I thought Mark Schlereth did a good job of pointing that on the replay. But that was really good team blocking. And then, of course, Derek does his thing. Exactly. Stiff arms the guy. I mean, it was just a great run. But the offensive line, if they just give them a chance, the offense has a chance to be successful. And that was, man, what a knockout punch. In the second quarter. My goodness.
What was that? It's 10-minute drive.
10 minutes and 22 seconds.
10 minutes and 22 seconds. They hadn't had one of those drives in a very, very long time.
But
last
also
one was 2003. It's been 20 years.
But
also, I was still playing.
Also,
good Lord.
D-Mase Titans. But also, it was the 2-minute drill. Like they had quick strike. They had explosive plays. I think on 4 of 6 plays. They attacked down the field. So that was they showed a little bit of something there. It's very encouraging.
This was the best offensive performance that we've seen from the Titans since when? The Green Bay game last year, probably?
Yeah.
Because the Charger game was good. It wasn't that good. It wasn't utilizing play action and being able to get back to play action play after play after play. What was it, 6 plays in a row where they ran play action and did it successfully? So I like that. Hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Keep doing it. It's your bread and butter, and it's continuing to work, and you're continuing to move the ball downfield. So keep doing it until it stops working. So utilizing play action, vintage Derrick Henry performance. I don't want to hear from anyone ever again in this town, in the text line, on our phone lines, nationally, that Derrick Henry is washed up. Because for what we saw yesterday from Derrick Henry, that was a typical vintage Derrick Henry dominant performance. The receivers did what they needed to do. The tight ends did what they needed to do. I thought, really for the most part, there were a few things offensively that I didn't love. And of course we'll get into that. And, they should be overshadowed by the win and how good the offense played on Sunday. But I did want to point some of those things out. But overall, just a good day. A get-right game for the Titans when they needed it the most. Like I said on Friday, I was like, I have a weird feeling the Titans are going to win this game because when they zig, they zag. And this was the ultimate zigzag. About as worse of a performance that you could get in Cleveland to about as good of a performance that you could get against the Bengals. Good win from the Titans, but today is your day. So we are right to your phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Plus, I want to get into Tim Kelly. Our evaluation of his play calling yesterday. Get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Every day we are live and local.
It will help them get better players. I'm really excited about this defensive front.
And your source for Nashville sports.
They had missed the playoffs.
Those players may end up being practice squad guys.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Willy Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
DraftKings Sports and Social is bringing you the ultimate fan experience this football season with a 48-foot media wall, 22 TVs, mouth-watering game day eats, and cold beer. DraftKings Sports and Social, opening October 5th at Nashville Live on 2nd Avenue.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Yeah, it felt good. I feel like we were hitting on all cylinders, playing complementary football on all 3 phases. Glad we were able to put drives together. Defense did a great job against the offense, special teams. I feel like it was a great all-around team win. We finally got one on them, so they still up on us a little bit. We finally got one, so.
All right, there you go. That was Derrick Henry on the win yesterday. A good vintage Derrick Henry performance, and I think it was he and really the offense as a whole. It was just so refreshing to sit back and watch that game and watch an entertaining and effective Titans offense that wasn't just run up the middle for a gain of 1, and then a false start that pushes you back, and now it's 2nd and 14, and then a drop pass here in the 8. It was just so refreshing to see an effective run game. The passing game looked great. Penalties, for the most part, weren't much of a factor for this offense. Didn't hurt the team too much. There were a couple of drives in there that were duds, but really just so refreshing and exciting and encouraging to see. And I think a reminder to me, to probably you, to everyone that, hey, this offense, it has potential. There is a ceiling, a higher ceiling for this offense than maybe I really even anticipated.
When they brought Jeffrey Simmons onto the field at the end of the half, the crowd went nuts. That was really fun, just sitting in the stands and watching that, because that's the mark of a good fan base. They notice. Here comes 98. Oh, hey, Simmons is coming into the game. Mm-hmm. And I love when teams do that, because the team gets pumped up when you do that, right?
Oh, of course. But they know it's a special play.
Yeah. Remember when the Bears used to bring Fridge in? That became such a big thing. I love that idea. Get your best player in there.
Throw a little. Like that.
Huh?
Walter Payton.
Not in the Super Bowl. That's still kind of a stinging point for a lot of Bears fans. But during the season, remember, they did it, and it worked so often. Now, I'm not saying Jeffrey Simmons is going to throw a pass like the Fridge did the one time, but you're thinking, what are they going to do here? This is cool. And then it works. And so now you got something, that just energizes everybody.
Exactly. It was a really good play call They kept the Cincinnati Bengals guessing from a defensive standpoint. The offense stayed balanced throughout the game. They had 23 first downs. They had 11 passing and 9 running. That's balanced offense.
Yeah.
And then obviously they had a few more because of penalties. But that's the mark of a balanced offense. And it's not every team tries to be balanced going into a game. But sometimes circumstances dictate whether you are a heavy run or heavy pass. But it seemed like with this Titan team, they purposely tried to stay as balanced and tried to keep that defense off kilter as much as they possibly could. And they did that, whether it be running with Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears or hitting the tight ends or hitting the receivers, play action. They did a lot of things, misdirections. They did a lot of things to keep that defense off point. And they ran at their best player at times. And that's what you have to do. You can't be – I understand one hand you wanting to pass protect. But the way to wear down those great pass rushers, because not many of them are great pass rushers as well as great, run stoppers. You look at Michael Parsons, great pass rusher, but if you run at him enough time, you're going to wear him down. And the Titans did exactly. Now, Myles Garrett is a different animal, different person. He controls the run and pass, so, you might want to run away from him at times. But they ran at the Cincinnati Bengals' strength, and that strength was Hickerson? I can't.
Hendrickson?
Hendrickson.
Yep.
I always forget his last name. Hendrickson. They ran at Hendrickson a few times. They wore him down, and it allowed them to do some of the things they wanted to do, especially in that 10-minute drive where it was run, play action, throw. They just kept that whole defense off balance.
They did a great job. I loved how they came out. Of course, they fall behind because the Bengals had their best success offensively very early in the game. The first drive, I thought stopping them inside the 10 and forcing the field goal, and I was wondering if they were going to go for it.
I was nervous.
4th and goal at the 2. But then they come out in a very important drive, and they come out running. It's run at you, establish it, and then the play action really fell into place as the second quarter unfolded. And I'm thinking, man, that is exactly what they were hoping this offense could be. I loved how they mixed Spears and Henry together. You weren't saying, where's Derrick? But you were also saying, hey, they're using Spears as well. He made some key runs. Obviously, the one where he bobbled it, picked it up, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Avoided disaster.
Not how
there.
they drew that up, but still, the other runs.
Sometimes those are the best plays.
He makes the big catch on 4th down. Enormous play on the first drive, right, to answer the field goal back.
It was, 4th and 2?
So I thought they really utilized what they wanted to. The distribution to the different wide receivers, like you were saying, Derek, I mean, they took a big, big step forward. What a great answer for the absolute polar opposite last week.
This team had 2 drives of 15 plays. Unfortunately, both drives ended with a field goal. You would rather end that with a touchdown. But 2 drives to start the game and to finish the game. 15 plays. And both ended in field goals for the Tennessee Titans. That's huge. I know you want 7 points, especially in the second half when you come out of halftime. What you want to establish, you want to wear that defense down, and you want to establish, your identity in series like that. And to have a 15-play series, one, it was for 40 yards, ending in a field goal. The other, it was a 65-yard drive to end it in a field goal. Well, we had loved to have a touchdown, absolutely. But that 15-play basically took the game away from the Cincinnati Bengals, even because
it was time to go home.
It was 3:27, but 3-27. But even though there was a lot of time left, it was up like a full quarter, and maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes left, 3 minutes left. So realistically, you can come back. But that 15-play drive took the life out of Cincinnati. They knew after that drive there was no way that they were going to be able to compete.
I felt like the game was over.
A lot of their fans,
exactly.
I watched a lot of their fans.
They were leaving. After that, it was over. because you had worn their defense down. A
And the
defense that
offense
had
couldn't
been
do
struggling. Exactly. Offense that had been struggling. Defense that did make some plays at time, but that 15-play drive after half wore them down, period. And it basically ended the game.
And I want to go back to the Derrick Henry touchdown pass, because whenever Derrick lines up to take a direct snap or whenever he catches passes, I always get so nervous because I feel like he looks nervous getting the football. I feel like he just looks uncomfortable. So Cincinnati calls a touchdown, and whenever he's lining up to take a direct snap, I think I knew what they were going to do, and Cincinnati probably knew what they were going to do. So I'm thinking, oh no, they call a timeout. They know that he's going to throw a ball. He doesn't always look comfortable taking a direct snap, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, this could be a recipe for disaster. Jeffrey Simmons is on the field. What's going on?
Right.
But I thought it was a testament to the play call in that time. And also, just the entire play as a whole, the design of the play, practicing of the play, that Cincinnati knew what the Titans wanted to do, and the Titans were still successful in doing it. And Josh Wiley just walked into the end zone, basically completely untouched.
You put yourself out there as an offensive coordinator when you run a play like that. Remember last year, they got absolutely carved up on the shows for getting cute when it didn't work, right? They did the Malik Willis direct snap, and he fumbled it. That they got hammered, but that's where you live by the sword, die by the sword a little bit. Kelly, you look at, he had another gadget play that easily could have been a touchdown.
The flea flicker.
Mm-hmm. So they've had 3 or 4 of those this year where they just haven't quite clicked on the play. So he's dialing up plays that are giving them opportunities for big stuff. Now I will say this, D-Mase, on the touchdown throw from Henry. Mm-hmm. The Bengals called the timeout. The Titans have no timeouts. There's 14 seconds left. So you're thinking they can't run it here, or if they do, they're putting all their eggs into one basket here. That'd be pretty gutsy because remember what happened last week? Yeah. They ran out of time.
Yeah.
So
they should have just kicked.
How did the Bengals get suckered so bad where don't they know he's going to throw it? He's thrown it before.
It's discipline. Everybody in the stadium. I'm in a press
I'm thinking,
box.
I'm looking at George going, this has got to be the throw. Right?
They're going to throw it. There was no way. Yeah, there was no way.
So how did the Bengals not know it? They didn't even cover the guy.
It was just being undisciplined. Being undisciplined, because when you call that timeout, for one, Jeffrey Simmons comes in and says, I'm an eligible player. I think that play was either for Jeffrey Simmons or for the tight end. If Jeffrey's open right away, hit him. If the tight end's open right away, hit him. Whichever one is open the quickest, hit the guy.
They may have sold out to not let Jeffrey Simmons catch the pass and just let Josh Wiley walk in.
Yeah, Josh
sell
Wiley
out to not let the defensive tackle catch the pass.
But his first offensive snap in his career.
But when you call a timeout, that means you go on the sideline.
Yes.
And you say, hey, listen, watch for the fake. Jeffrey Simmons in the watch those guys for the fake. If they're going to get it in, it ain't going to be, throwing the football. It's going to be them getting that hard 2 or 3 yards. And then, like Willie said, if you don't get it, you're done.
Yeah, the half runs out.
The field
for the second straight week.
Dud before the half.
Absolutely. So, to me, it was, I think what it ultimately ends up being is a team that, because I think at that point it was 20-3. I think a team that knew
it was 17-3.
17-3.
Yeah.
I think it was a team that at that point they probably knew that from a defensive standpoint that we're not going to win this game.
Our offense can't score.
Our offense can't score. We can't.
Which is crazy to think about with the Bengals. We're talking about
because
the Bengals.
when you go back in a huddle after a timeout in a situation like that, it's like you cover all your bases. Like, okay, make sure you watch that guy. Make sure you watch that guy. They ain't going to throw it to Tannehill, but stay out there. And then you come back out of the timeout, and you do totally Wiley was wide open.
Nobody covered him.
Nobody covered him.
He walked in and was standing there like, Derek, I'm open.
Great for the Titans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bad for Cincinnati. But that's just indicative of what's going on. What's going on inside those walls in Cincinnati right now. That play was indicative of what's going on in their season.
Yeah, they're in a very uncomfortable position. But Tim Kelly, for me, A+. A+ on the day for the offensive play calling, but we'll continue the conversation coming up next. What we liked from the Titans offensively, Henry's performance, Tannehill's performance, and we are right into your phones coming up next. 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
The Nashville Oktoberfest is quickly approaching, and now's the time to get your dirndls, lederhosen, and party steins ready. From local breweries to live music and festival artisans, you can't go wrong celebrating this free family fun Germantown tradition. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2023, Thursday, October 5th through the 8th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prepare yourself for 4 days of brats, beer, live music, and competitions. VIP experience reservations are still available at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. Prost, y'all!
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter.
Quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
If you are experiencing persistent shoulder pain that may be the result of overuse or an injury such as a rotator cuff tear or tendonitis, the world-class orthopedic team at Houston Clinic Orthopedics will give you the appropriate medical attention to prevent any additional damage to the shoulder. Chronic pain or a permanent injury may occur without proper treatment. Houston Clinic Orthopedics is conveniently located where you work and live. Visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 1025 The Game.
Yeah, the play call, it seemed like Tim Kelly was in a groove. How do you like the way he layered his calls and dialed the right thing?
All the credit goes to the players. It does. We make all this up about play callers. Give them a play, and then they go execute it. It's up to the players. And they did a great job. That's what I'm saying.
Credit to the players, says Mike Vrabel. And look, we can talk about X's and O's. We can talk about Jimmy's and Joe's. Anyone on any given Sunday can win or lose you a game. But I thought it was a good game from Tim Kelly. I loved utilizing play action. I loved how much they ran the football. I loved the creative play designs. Even though the flea flicker didn't work, I still thought it was a great play call in the right time. I said the same thing after the Saints game. That flea flicker, it didn't work, but good play call.
Yeah, it was. Tim Kelly.
Now, you thought he should have caught that ball?
Yeah, I thought Hopkins should have caught it.
He
said he should have caught it.
It's interesting. I went back and looked at it. I was worried he was going to run into the back wall because if he catches it, he's got to get it at the fingertips, barely get the 2 feet down. I'm thinking, does he have enough room? I look back and I was saying, should he have laid it out? Butch Johnson style. Remember Butch Johnson in the Super Bowl when we were kids? So when do you determine whether you got to lay out or try to just run into it and reach out and fingertip it so you can get the toe drag? Like how tough? Is that just all instinct? on that, or are you reading it in the air?
I think it's all instinct. I was never a diver. I just wasn't, because to me, when you dive, you open yourself up for injury. So I was never a big dive and catch the ball, but I knew some guys that dove. Chris Sanders, he would dive everywhere. I mean, he would catch it.
Okay, we need to have that conversation with
Chris. Would catch it, but Chris, listen, if there was a time to dive, Chris would dive for it. He didn't care. It's like, okay, prime time to dive. I'm going to dive.
Even if he didn't need
but
to.
Majority of the times he would catch it. Some people just have that innate ability to lay out for the ball, catch it, bring it in, and not hurt themselves. I wasn't that guy. I always felt that I'm just going to, use what I have, play the game the way it's supposed to be played, run until the ball's there. Then, as long as I'm pumping my arms, it gives me an opportunity to catch up to the ball. So to me, he should have caught it. I said it when I saw it. If it's maybe somebody else, I'm like, that was a 50-50 catch for that person. But D-Hop, that's a ball that he catches. He knows. He even said after the game, I should have caught it. He said he lost it in the light. I thought he stumbled a little bit, trying to adjust to the ball just a tad bit that kind of threw him off. But he still got his hands on the ball. But he dropped it. That's going to happen in the game. It's going to happen. I'm not going to fault him for that. I'm not going to fault Ryan Tannehill. It was just an opportunity to make a big play. He stumbled trying to adjust to the ball, and he still should have caught it, but he didn't. I know that's one he wish he could have had back. But I've always, with Tim Kelly, each game that the Titans have played thus far, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've said he's called a good game every game. I've said that. I've been on the record saying I don't blame Tim Kelly for what happened in those losses. And I've always said this. Sometimes offensive coordinators, because this was told to me a long time in this game, said, listen, as an offensive coordinator, it's not about I just call the plays, how the game is going. And I try to get the ball into my playmakers' hands or try to do something to throw the defense off. But ultimately, it's up to you, the player, to make the play. Now, some offensive coordinators like Downey last year, that was just it was bad.
Coaching malpractice.
Yeah, it was just bad because he never seemed like he knew how to call plays inside of the game. Offensive coordinators in this league, when you've made it here, you know how to put together a game plan. You know, because it's you and the other coaches sort of putting together a game plan. You know how to do that. Every offense coordinator out there knows how to do that that's in the NFL. What separates the really, really good ones to the average ones, how do I then take those plays from the week or that playbook, the game plan, how do I implement it in the game? How do I stay ahead of the defensive coordinator? How do I make sure nobody floats in the game? Talked about floating. Receiver, you can't allow the receiver to float. You can't. If he's in there, a lot of plays you need to make sure he feels like he's a part of the game, like he's contributing. Don't just let him run around without targeting him at least a few times. So, to me, offensive coordinators, you got to know how to call games. Tim Kelly, he knows how to call games. From the Saints game to this game. And if I'm wrong, please bring it up and tell me I'm wrong. But I've never blamed the losses on Tim Kelly. I've always said, listen, this team, every game, they got 3 or 4 plays they can make, 2 to 3 plays they can make. And that's what's going to separate you from the next team. First game of the season, the Titans had 5 of them. They were 0 for. The second game of the season, they had, 3 or 4, and they made 3 out of the 4, which ultimately ended up winning in the game. We talked about Traylon Burks' long pass, Chris Moore's long pass. There was another play or 2 in there that got them chunk yards. Against Cleveland, there were some plays to be made. They didn't make them.
I don't even know how many plays there were to be made against Cleveland.
But there were enough that it shouldn't. I'm not saying that they would have won, but they wouldn't have been that lopsided.
Traylon Burks dropped that pass. He should have caught that pass.
It wouldn't have been lopsided. Fast forward to rewind to yesterday, there was some big plays to be made, and they were all made except one. One play, which ultimately
flea flicker to D-Hop.
Yeah, but ultimately because they were able to make those plays, they flipped the field, and it took it took the morale from that Cincinnati offense. It took it and it threw it away. It was gone. Once you make those big plays, defenses start looking around, and then it's just like, what do we do now? The Titans kept that Cincinnati Bengals defense looking around like, what do we do now? That's because of the plays that were made. There's only 2 to 3 big plays in the game that you got to make. If you can make them, you flip the field and you tilt it toward your sideline. If you don't make those plays, then the tilt goes back to the other team.
And I think that yesterday the big key was what we talked about with the Chargers too, and it wasn't every third down, but there were a lot of third downs that were third and manageable. Third 1, third 2, third 3.
There was 61% on third down yesterday.
There's a third and 7 that they converted, which third and 7 is right teetering on the border of uncomfortable or manageable versus not as manageable. Really, for the most part, on third down, they were successful and they were able to utilize the run game. Because when you're in third and 14, Derrick Henry is not going to run the ball. Third and 1, third and 2.
He can be on the field.
He can be on the field.
And he picked up a couple short yardages.
Yeah. Well, he just got the yardage that he needed and fell down.
It was a very effective game for him. You used Spears well. The other guy, I think, was great. Well, and you don't really see it in the numbers because he didn't catch the bomb, but I thought DeAndre Hopkins had just exactly the type of game you're hoping for a veteran star wide receiver. Third down, he made a couple of really key catches at key times to keep drives going, and he made the one. The game was what, 3-3? When he does the little double move on third down, slides out, perfect route, perfect throw, 38 yards. That got him going. That was one of the big sparks to get them going at the time. So I like what I'm seeing from him. Like this move, this investment they made, where a lot of people are like, should they do it? Put it in a checkbox for it. That's why they got him.
They got him to
he made an impact yesterday.
They got him to make those crucial plays at crucial times. D-Hop, them getting D-Hop wasn't to be their top receiver in regards to yardage or touchdown. It wasn't
spectacular stuff.
It was the play that he made yesterday. It was, making those 50-50 catches when we really need them. Doing the things that he's capable of doing when we need him to do them. He's not like he targets 6 times, caught 4 passes. That's what it's supposed to be. Like, we're going to target you 5 to 8 times a game. If you catch 70% of those, because at least 2 of them are going to be shots that we take down the field with you. So if you catch 1 or 2 of those, plus a little intermediate routes, you're doing exactly what we want you to do. That's why we didn't bring you in here to be the D-Hop. We would have loved if you were still that D-Hop, the D-Hop of 5 years ago. That's not what we brought you in here, because we got a guy we feel is a home run hitter in Traden Burks. We need you to be we need you to be the stable force. We need you to be the guy that's consistent for us. And D-Hop has been consistent. Has he made the wild plays all the time? No. But what he does is he consistently catches the ball for you. And then eventually, as you start to get longer and longer in the season, those 4-yard catches or those 6-yard catches are going to start to be 16-yard catches and 14-yard catches. And then it's going to open it up for everybody.
I think this was the best offensive game from the Titans since the Green Bay game. And so I know we're all fired up about it. I know you were fired up about it. So we are right to your phones on it coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:30. Join Robbie and Rex Road for The Choice is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesinc.com. The Choice is Yours. Wednesdays at 8:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline Fenton here for my friends over at Black Tie Moving. When you choose Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. I moved with Black Tie Moving just about 2 months ago, and it was as seamless and flawless and stress-free of a moving experience that I think you could possibly have. They took such great care of all of my things, of all of my furniture. They were so respectful of the space that I was moving out of and the space that I was moving into, and they truly made the transition into my new home such an easy one. I mean, they roll out the red carpet for you on the day of your move, literally, and also figuratively, because I truly felt like a celebrity the way that they were treating me on the day of my move. I cannot recommend them enough. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. That is 615-437-8401. And be sure to mention the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off of your next move. And then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life with Black Tie Moving.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Get ready to dig into the future of construction. Look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with link belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, link belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit parmantractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
Come try Calabria Brick Oven Pizzeria. Their pizza is cooked to perfection, but that's not all they're known for. Try one of their delicious appetizers, salads, fresh calzones, and they have a full bar and dessert. Calabria has been a Mount Juliet staple for 7 years now and has a new location in the heart of Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Come join the family at Calabria. After all, life's too short to eat bad pizza.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We've got Mike Vrabel in 15 minutes. We will carry that live and in its entirety. But the Titans get a big, get-right, much-needed win over the Bengals. A dominant win, 27-3. And it is your day on a Titans Monday. So we are right to your phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Eric is on the line. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys, let me tell you something. I'm a season ticket holder. I did not know what to expect in yesterday's game because, first of all, it was just such a pathetic performance last week against Cleveland. 94 yards total offense, complete 180, 400 yards. If you had told me that, I would have said you're crazy, but that's exactly what happened. But just a few observations about the game. First of all, guys, I definitely think the turning point of the game was actually the first drive where the Bengals were moving the ball like downfield, and I was frustrated. I said, they're going to score a touchdown on this opening drive. But then the near pick six that almost happened. Then after the fact, if you remember the next play, Joe Burrow had to call a timeout because the crowd got to him. And then I think they tried to run and play, which didn't do much, and they had to settle for a field goal. Then we go back down. Tannehill gets sacked, but we wound up a 53-yard field goal. By the way, it's nice to have a reliable kicker.
It
but then
is so nice to have a reliable kicker.
Yeah. Then the few exchanges of the punts. But then the fact, after that, guys, you know what happened? touchdown, 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 and then in the second half, that 10-22-yard drive, 10-minute, 22-second-yard drive, field goal. We scored 24 straight points. When was the last time the Tennessee Titans scored on 4 straight offensive possessions? I can't remember. It's been so long because we used to have trouble, scoring like a couple touchdowns in the game. And I think they said the last time we had a big win like this, of course, was during the pandemic year 2 years ago against the Kansas City Chiefs in October 2021 because we have so many close games. To beat a team by 24 points. I just wish we could just bottle it and keep it going for the rest of the season. I don't know what's going to happen, guys, but it's just so gratifying to have a win like that. Guys, y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you for your call, Eric. Appreciate it.
I think that last point's a good one. Like, this team doesn't, on paper, look like they're going to be able to just throttle very many teams.
Right.
So when they do, that's noteworthy because it seems like they're a team that's much more likely to get beat and just claw and scratch their way to win a bunch of close games. But the reality of the NFL is most of your games are going to be close, but the teams that are strong enough to just overwhelm 3 or 4 opponents, just think about what that can mean, right? Like the Chiefs didn't overwhelm the Jets last night. It looked like they were going to early, but they ended up having to claw and scratch. But the Chiefs, in 17 games, they're probably going to blow out 5 or 6 opponents at least, right?
Yeah.
The Titans aren't that kind of team, but it's good that they showed that they're capable of doing it.
Well, for the Titans, everything has to – it's like they don't have too much margin for error. They don't. They're not a they're not a, as we sort of deem, this explosive team offensively. So when they have opportunities to make plays, they got to make it. I mean, it's not like, okay, we missed a 50-yard pass. Okay, we're going to get that back. We know we are because we just got the guys. No.
Yeah.
Their margin of error is very slim. So when they have opportunities to make plays, which they will every game, they got to make them. They're not a team that's good enough to miss out on those opportunities. Not many teams in the NFL are good enough to miss out on 1 or 2, let alone what happened in the first game of the season. In order for the Titans to continue to win and make these games very competitive, those plays that do come and opportunities that they do have to make plays, they got to make them.
And I think, the Titans don't have that Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. I guess those 3 quarterbacks aren't the best examples for elite quarterbacks at the moment.
Yeah, not at the moment.
But the Titans don't have that elite Patrick Mahomes kind of quarterback where he can drop back and win you a game with his arm. He's not that kind of guy. But the Titans have been so successful just utilizing where their greatest strengths are. I think that really was the difference. The explosive plays, yes, those were massive. They had the big pass to DeAndre Hopkins, one that he did catch. The big catch from Chris Moore that I did not think was a catch, but they ultimately did deem it a catch, and he was out of bounds when the ball came out. But those explosive plays, those are massive difference makers. But I think when you look at, the heavy lifting from the offense, the biggest load from the offense in the game, it's utilizing play action, using your strengths. You're not going to win in a shootout kind of game because you don't have that kind of quarterback. You don't have that kind of protection from the offensive line. But it's play action and running the football and getting past the chains and getting those kind of gross, just grunt work kind of yards. That was the difference in that game, the yards that you weren't able to get the Browns because the Browns weren't letting you get those kind of 4-yard, 5-yard pickup with runs kind of plays.
Yeah, the Browns never let them get into a rhythm. Cincinnati, I'm not going to say Cincinnati let them get in a rhythm, but but they couldn't stop the Titans from doing what they wanted to do as an offense. They didn't stop them. The yardage, if you look at the stat line and if you watch the game, they couldn't stop the Titans from doing what they wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get back into your phones. One texter texts in says that Henry passing touchdown was not an easy play. Henry had to throw over a linebacker and still keep the ball in bounds. It was not easy. I don't think it was an easy play in the slightest. I think that's probably something they had to work a lot on in practice. But Josh Wiley being so wide open.
That was easy.
That was easy.
Yeah, you just got to hit him. There's easy doesn't come along in the NFL too often. But you ran the play. The play was drawn up perfectly, and you executed it perfectly. There's always going to be a hurdle in there somewhere. You just got to overcome the hurdle. I'm sure Derrick Henry wasn't thinking about, oh, my goodness, I got to loft this a little bit. He just was playing football. He was out there playing football, and he did what he needed to do. That's probably the same pass he threw, in practice. He probably threw it over the linebacker.
Teenager.
Exactly.
It's funny.
Absolutely.
You'd never take for granted, too, that a guy like that can actually throw it. Like, he had the throwback on the flea flicker as well. Sidearm. He had to get it back to Tannehill right on time. He did. I mean, you can't take for granted that because everything's got to go well. Because if you watch, there's a couple unblocked guys sprinting at Tannehill as Tannehill is like turning the double play. Like he catches it and throws it. It's 50 yards, perfect spiral, and almost put it right on a dime. But like if he bobbles it at all, it's probably a sack, right? If anything, if it's a bad ball that Henry throws back to him, play probably just goes completely haywire. But so you think about a running back who's not getting paid to throw the ball, who's taken all the shots to his upper body for 8 years or whatever, can still throw a pass like that. That's pretty cool.
But you
can't take that for granted.
And it's fun. Like the Titans offense being fun to watch is very nice and new and something that I very much so enjoyed. Not gripping the edge of my seat every single time Tannehill drops back.
Yeah, if plays are ran the way they're designed, there's always going to be a hiccup in the play or a defensive player doing something that you didn't think he would do, or he's playing sort of out of position a little bit. So there's always those plays that are designed, and you think, okay, call it at this time, it should work. So they call the throwback, give it to Henry, he throws it back to Tannehill, and Tannehill throws it down the field, and obviously it didn't get caught. The play works because everything is flowing the way it is supposed to flow. What irritates me sometimes is when that same play, they call it, but for whatever reason it doesn't work quite. Then everybody, why
are they doing that?
What
are they thinking?
They're doing it because
why'd you get cute there?
Yeah, it's a setup. They've been setting this play up for the last 15 plays, 15, 20 plays. They've been trying to set it up. That's what we talk about when we say stay ahead of the defense, because you're doing things to set up other plays, and that's what Tim Kelly was doing. Again, I believe Tim Kelly has called a good season thus far. Just go back and watch the tape. He's called a good season, good game plan thus far in this season. Vrabel even said it. Listen, it's up to the players. If we call a play, there's going to be a few times where, okay, we just got caught. They got the best of us. But for the most part, listen, we're going to call a play. It's up to y'all to make it work. Sometimes the defense just plays the right defense. But majority of the time, it's like, okay, if it didn't work, it's because someone did something that they were not supposed to do.
I am a firm believer that a play call isn't a bad play call just because it didn't work.
Exactly.
And also vice versa. It's not a good play call just because it worked. Like, there have been several instances where the Titans, like against the Chargers, it was 4th and 4. They decided to go for it. I thought that was dumb. Whether they got it or not, I didn't agree with that decision. Or going for 2, or whatever it might be, whatever the play call might be. Just because it works or just because it doesn't make it a good or a bad play call. It's the situational awareness. And I thought at the time, that was a good play call.
Yeah.
But we hear more from Vrabel coming up next. He will be live at the podium, so we will carry that in its entirety coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
DraftKings Sports and Social is bringing you the ultimate fan experience this football season with a 48-foot media wall, 22 TVs, mouth-watering game day eats, and cold beer. DraftKings Sports and Social, opening October 5th at Nashville Live on 2nd Avenue.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier with your Game Center update. The Vanderbilt Commodores fell short of a win versus the Missouri Tigers over the weekend by a score of 38-21. Wide receiver Will Shepard added another touchdown to his season tally, making it 5 touchdowns in a 5-game stretch. Here was head coach Clark Lee after the loss Saturday.
There's elements of our game that we still control to clean up. I thought there were too many procedural penalties on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Some of those are declined, but they lead to free plays for their offense. We got to be more disciplined than that. I think when you play against a good defense too, you can't go 3rd and 4 that becomes 3rd and 9 because you jump the snap count. That's not a winning formula.
Tune in tonight for the Commodore Hour at 6 p.m. You can listen right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
79-52 Vanderbilt. I think he's got a coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Mike Vrabel is up at the podium, so we will send it over to him now.
Great field position there at the second quarter. So, probably would want him to fair catch the one, being smart there. Chris Moore made a play as a gunner, knocked the football out there. Mace has done a nice job.
Maybe sticking with him when Kyle comes back?
We'll see. We'll see where Kyle's at. We got 48 guys going to the game. How many guys we can take.
Equipped to be plugged in a week now, and what's your philosophy on an incumbent coming back when his replacement's done well?
Yeah, I think that's Nick's been away for a little bit. He was with us in training camp. We'll see where things go. Like the way that Chris is playing over there. We'll just see how he looks this week.
In the quarters, one quarter in, how do you feel about where you're?
Which way you slice that 17th game, Corey? Who gets that piece of the pie? That's a little sweetener.
Yeah.
We just got to be more consistent. We need to get on the road and be able to go win on the road in the division. And it's going to be a huge test. So that's where our focus is, and trying to execute the keys each week and take care of the difference and taking care of the football and being able to get off the field on third down. All these things affect the quarterback.
You mentioned that being more consistent. What does that look like? Is that something you accumulate through the week, or do you ever carry over?
I think that the response has to be consistent. Whether it's a good play, a bad play, 2nd and 10 doesn't have to lead to 3rd and 12, right? And so. Talking about just the consistency of, our effort and our understanding of the concept, and maybe they made a play, right? Or, we have to just continue to string some positive plays together, let them build off each other. Hit some passes, hit a run, hit a keeper, hit a play pass, hit a shot. Eliminate the self-inflicted wounds.
I know you believe momentum, like you build it throughout the week, but is there anything to like taking a win like yesterday, rolling it into the next game, and
just stack? Because it's been a bit since you guys been able to stack a couple wins together.
I don't see that as being something that really happens when you say, well, we did this last week against the Bengals, and if that was the case, how would we have done against the Browns if we just carried that over? You know what I mean? It was like, but I think you can show them what everybody's capable of when we all do our job and we get going. And I think a lot of that is attributed to what you do in practice. Just the understanding of the looks you saw in practice and the ones that you don't see. Can't show them everything, right? There's going to be some things that you're not going to be able to see in practice, but just having an understanding enough of the play to be able to execute it off of a look that you haven't seen, or being instinctive enough to be able to execute it.
We saw more mobility from Ryan. Is that something that you can build on, you think?
Yeah, I think we can. We've used Ryan in and out of the pocket at different times, and whether he keeps it or got rid of football and down there in a red zone with pressure, and Nick was able to score, and we'll have to change the launch spot for the quarterback plenty of times this year.
On those few plays where Aaron pulled and kind of protected on the backside of the rollout, is that uncommon for a center to be used like that, and how effective?
Well, based on what type of center, that's just looking for a way to change the launch spot for the quarterback, and depending on who's covered and who's uncovered, whether it's the guard that's coming back to protect, or whether you use a tight end.
Let's put Nick Westbrook in a position to be successful when he's gotten opportunities, and how'd you like his effort in getting in the end zone on that?
Well, I thought it was a great effort to get into the end zone. He looked determined. Nick's worked hard. Nick's worked hard to know a lot of different spots, plays a role on special teams. Kind of just keep showing up, whether that's on a catch or on a huge block. Had a nice block on Derek's, touchdown run there. So.
Have you seen Wiley kind of grow since he's gotten here, and just what's allowed him to have the kind of role he had yesterday?
Well, he, again, can play at the line of scrimmage. He plays in the backfield. He can handle multiple spots. He's done well in the kicking game. Been able to step in there. Stepped in there without a whole lot of reps in Cleveland. He's got a good catch radius. I thought Ryan executed that pass there to him in the high red area. It was good for us to get down the seam. I like kind of where his attitude is. He's willing and just continue to improve.
Mike, when Aaron was in here earlier, we talked about they just did a better job of winning one-on-one battles last week and doing it more collectively. When you saw on film how that offensive line worked, were you happy with that improvement there?
Yeah, there were some good finishes. Again, when we took the ball at the end there and were able to run the football and have the clock and run the clock out when they knew we were going to run, I thought that was a good ending to an efficient day on offense. It could go one of two ways, right? 3 plays and punt and have to go back there and, play defense probably, going to win the football game, but you're going to have to go and rush and cover them. And, we want to end the game, with the football, and we did that. I thought we protected better. I thought there were a few lapses. I thought, they got us on the 1 3rd down with the TE with the game over there. Brew trying to probably do a little bit too much. He was kind of working to the left side and came back over to help, and Dylan was going to work back out and kind of gave up a cheap one there. So as long as we just all do our job, I think winning one-on-one in this league will always be something that'll be beneficial for us if we can do that in all 3 phases.
You talk all the time about it being about the players and the execution of the players. I was hoping you could expand on that. The plan and the calls obviously to some degree put the players in the position to execute. So to what degree do you think that the plan and the calls influence the ability to execute?
Then the play comes in. The 11 guys out on the field are the ones that make it go, whether they're on the same page, whether they're executing a call or they're on the same page. That's the most important thing, is a guy being able to communicate, whether we call man coverage and you got opportunity to get picked, and guys are communicating and they try to pick you and they don't get picked. It's an incompletion and they punt. It's about just trying to give them the opportunity to know and have confidence in the call and the play, and then go execute. And
You think the from the outside perspective?
I think there's good plays that don't work, and I think there's bad plays that work. I don't know what to tell you. There's, it's just the whole guru mentality. I think that it gets executed. Whether you think it's a good call or a bad call, you'll know by the way the players execute it.
How much are you liking what you're seeing from Aziz and Jack manning those inside linebacker spots? And was yesterday the best game they've had so far this year?
I don't know if it was their best game. I thought they were, efficient. I thought they both made some plays. I thought Aziz, I thought you noticed his speed and effort, violence to the football. I thought he was running. I thought Jack was an efficient tackler. I don't remember myself calling him Jack, by the way. That Dr. Gibby, got his hand on a football. We talked about that. Those interior throws, they need to fit some runs better. I think that they can blitz better. Tried Doc down the middle, going fast on 3rd and 3. He was able to be there. So, again, it was, we'll have to, keep doing that and keep improving this week.
How important is it that those two guys play off each other and work in tandem like that, playing those inside spots?
Well, there's some times where guys will, you'll fit a gap and a guy will have to overlap, and whether that's at the player in front of you, seeing where the D lineman is and working off of him. Sometimes they work off of each other. Communication and coverage is critical.
What kind of impression did Anthony Richardson make on you during the pre-draft process?
Well, I had a great visit with him. Very engaging individual. Enjoyed the time. Our conversations, and spent a whole day here and did a fantastic job. And he'll, he's a big, physical, fast quarterback that's going to be a huge challenge this week.
What's the challenge of building your offensive performance to be like it was yesterday and a couple weeks ago against the Chargers on the road in an environment like Indianapolis?
Well, being able to communicate either visually or with hand signals, right? Talking to the guy next to you, being able to use some sort of cadence that doesn't allow them to tee off on you. Our ability to get off on the football and be legal and not, false start or be late. Those are some places where you'll need to start.
After the game yesterday, Derek called Jeffrey the heart and soul of this football team. When Jeffrey was drafted, did you look at him and think, this guy's going to be the heart of our team, be the heartbeat of this thing?
Well, we certainly appreciate what he does and everything that he's about. And his effort, his demeanor, his attitude, his willingness to execute the game plan and understand what we're trying to get done. He's very coachable, very, very, very coachable. And so, that's kind of the person that we thought we were getting. Certainly a great player and, huge part of our team.
Take some time to get him back up to speed, but getting Nicholas back early, how pleasant of a surprise is that for you, and how nice will it be to have him back on the practice field and getting more involved with things this week?
Yeah, we haven't seen him, for a while since training camp, so the league made a decision on what they felt like they wanted to do, and so we'll hopefully get an exemption for him and practice him and see where he's at as we work closer to the game.
Is it fair to him that they change rules on the fly?
The league does what they want to do.
How's Peter been progressing?
Good. Feeling better and stronger. So hopefully have him at practice this week and see how he does.
What do you think of the PI on McCreary? And isn't most of the contact there within 5 yards?
Yeah, I probably missed that one. I mean, I like how we responded defensively. We went 1 week, it was, everybody throwing their arms up and complain. It's like continue to work on our responses, which I thought we did. And it was, I'm sure they'd like to have that call back. That probably one that they would like to have back.
Much better yesterday. You're sitting here feeling pretty good about where they are right now, or when you have a guy like Skoronski coming back, NPF to the mix, does it open up some doors to look at possibilities of maybe some changes, or just?
Yeah, I'm sure we can change. I think if you have a coach, you never feel great about anything. At least I don't. We get back to work, and it's a huge test, and I guess that's the attitude of a coach. I don't know. Sucks, Teron.
When you have a day like yesterday where you are eliminating those X plays defensively, is there something you're seeing or maybe not seeing that's the common trend?
Well, I think some of the coverage dictate that, some of the coverage, right? So, split safeties and guys, probably some of the coverage dictated that. Some of the pass rush dictated that. They tried down the middle of the field, and Gibby was there and close. But I felt like there were some good combined rushes and coverage, and we tackled. There wasn't like a catch and run that got loose and could have. Right down the sidelines. I think we need to leverage that ball better, but that has a lot to do with it too.
I think it played 3 snaps. But had a big play.
He'll play more. Yeah, he'll play more.
What's he done? How's he kind of gotten better since?
Good. Well, learn what system, learn the calls and what we're doing, and so it was great to see him. And he'd been working extremely hard, and I know he wished that he, was out there, but what he did was take advantage of the opportunity that he got and earns more opportunity.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. That was Mike Vrabel and the Titans' 23-7 win over the Bengals. We'll react to what Mike Vrabel had to say coming up next, and your phones as well, 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
Every day we are live and local.
I think Vanderbilt is steady, disciplined.
It's been so long since Tennessee's gotten out of the first weekend.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I don't mind going to another team. You want to know what the coaching staff's going to look like?
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Monday to everyone. Man, I need to talk to you and tell you something, so listen up. I need to tell you about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife Daphne, along with that wonderful and experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Men, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number. Lock it into your phone. Save it. Do whatever you need to do. 615-486-3458, 615-486-3458, or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
This week's Nashville's best deal is 312 Pizza Company, serving the best pizza in town, as well as Chicago-style eats like Chicago dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, and more. It's also a great spot to grab a beer and watch your favorite team on the big screen. 312 Pizza Company, 371 Monroe Street in Germantown. Head to thegamenashville.com/deals and get half off a $30 gift card. It's 312 Pizza Company, while supplies last.
At EasyCater, we know ordering food for work can get complicated pretty fast.
We're gonna need breakfast for the entire office on Thursday.
Janet wants really nice bagels.
Make sure some are gluten-free.
Make sure
they have great coffee.
Can there also be waffles?
Janet has a hard stop at 9:30.
$15 a person
I'm gonna
max.
need itemized receipts for
Seriously,
this.
no,
Is the
no,
budget for
no,
breakfast
no,
different than
no,
the budget?
no,
We're just gonna grab and go. Fine.
Company breakfast? Just use EasyCater. Food for work delivered on time as ordered with a huge variety. 100,000 restaurants, one platform. Order 24/7 at EasyCater.com.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet. Just heard from Mike Vrabel at the podium. His recap of what his team did yesterday. A little bit of a look ahead to a big divisional game this weekend on the road in Indianapolis. What stood out from Vrabel?
I'll give you one thing that stood out to me, and this is, again, how things can change in a week. You know, let's give Andre Dillard a lot of credit here because his name was smeared all over the town last week, right?
Yeah.
When you
rightfully so.
Well, yeah, but let's just put yourself in his shoes, right? He knows he played bad. He knows he got dominated. And now he's got to hear it from all over the place. And that's got to be a really tough thing mentally for a guy that's a first-round pick that everybody for the last 4 or 5 years has said, well, he's just not panning out. I don't know what's going on. And then he gets this opportunity. That game happens on Sunday. That's a test. That's a big test. And he did not crumble. He came back and had a good game yesterday. That's one game. Now he's got to string them together. But that was a great stabilizer, I think. Now, it's one of those things, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You get the news about Nick Petit-Frere. He's eligible. Last week we were saying, hey, do you just need to throw him in there, left tackle? Oh, my gosh, maybe you got to get him in there. Skoronski's missed a couple of games. He should be coming around the corner here. You like what you're seeing from him. Now, suddenly, Dylan Radins, another one of those guys whose name was Mud for a couple years, he's kind of developing as a guy that's now played some games. He is at least serviceable as a backup. It doesn't look like you're getting absolutely nothing out of him. So it reminds me a little bit, last year the Predators had to use like 12 defensemen, and you're like, oh, man, that's not good. And it wasn't. But now this year you got a lot of those guys back, so at least if you've got to go to the depth, you kind of know what the guy looks like. I think that's what I'm seeing there. So the offensive line has gone from total disaster to, okay, we might be able to work with this in 1 week.
Yeah, they're going to have to, figure out what happens next.
So what do you do with Nick Petit-Frere in your mind?
To me, you let him take another week of just getting back because, again, he's not in football shape, no matter how much he's been working out because he hadn't been able to practice with the team. He is not in football shape, people. He's not out of shape. He's been working out, but there's a difference between working out, lifting weights, running gashes, all that, to actually being on the field, getting pushed around, hit, knocked to the ground, got to get back up, get knocked down again, got another 300-pounder try to push you. There's a big difference between that in shape and the other in shape.
And now you don't have to force him in there.
Exactly. Nicholas he's not in football shape. Is he in shape general? Yes, he's in shape. Could he go out there and play if he needed to? Yes, but you would be putting him in a position where he may not succeed. Mm-hmm. So you leave him out another week, see how practice goes. Leave him out, the right tackle, Hubbard, doing a good job right now. So you don't fix what's not necessarily broken. Is Hubbard the best? No. But he's solid at what he's doing. Yeah.
He's been fine.
Been fine. Think about that compared to Dennis Daly.
Exactly.
Right?
Dillard,
they went and found Hubbard off the street. They didn't even trade for him.
No.
Right? And this guy has come in there and done a job.
And then Dillard, he played. Dillard has, if you look at his play throughout this season, or the first quarter of the season. He's not a great pass blocker. He's not even a good pass blocker. He's a average to below average pass blocker, but he runs block better. He put it all together this game. He did some run blocking. He did some pass blocking. He needs to get into a rhythm. Let him get into a rhythm. Hopefully this is the beginning of him being a solid left tackle. Now, will they have to eventually upgrade that position? I think they do. Eventually, you got to upgrade that position. But if he continues to give you the play that he gave you yesterday, then, okay, put Skoronski in there now. Now that is a formidable left side that you don't necessarily have to worry about if indeed Dillard continues to play that way. So Nicholas is right. He's in this weird space because, you know, it was your fault that you got suspended, even though I think that it was bogus, you know, and the NFL basically believed what I said, so they got to taper their rules now.
Yeah, I think it
was just a mess.
Yeah.
But he can't just now jump back in as a starter. He has to earn that starting spot back. And if he does what that entails, what that then does, it makes your offensive line stronger.
Are we ready to deem that Dylan Radins is now a serviceable backup in the league?
I gotta see some more. I gotta see some more.
Yeah.
I gotta see some more. Did he do a good job yesterday?
They've gotten
Yes.
two. They've gotten 2 wins.
Yes.
They're 2-1 with him playing left guard. That
Exactly.
says something.
So, but I just need to see consistent play from him to say, okay, he's a serviceable backup. He's done a good job in the 2 wins. He's, you know, done a fairly good job at times. My thing with Dylan Radins was a lot of times it wasn't that he wasn't getting the block. He wasn't sustaining the block. He'd get that first initial hit, and then the guy would get off of him. He has to learn how to sustain the block once he first makes that a hit, he needs to sustain it, and he wasn't doing that.
So, and I want to, throughout the rest of the week, get into what they do with the offensive line position, because you may have Skoronski available. You will have Nicholas Petit-Frere available. What do you do on the offensive line? We can get into that definitely throughout the rest of the week. But, Willie, I think you bring up an interesting point about the offensive line, and that's like kind of a microcosm for how I feel about that day. Is the offensive line, I think, had a fine day, both in pass pro and run blocking. I mean, clearly Derrick Henry and both Tajay Spears had a good day running the football, so I have to give credit to the offensive line. But it's a microcosm for the offense of what are you? You laid an egg last week against a really good Cleveland Browns defense, and I will give credit to the defense, but the offense looked horrible. The offensive line looked horrible. The offensive line struggled in New Orleans, and then they turned around and had a good day. Then they laid an egg in Cleveland and turned around and had one of the best offensive days that we've seen in almost an entire calendar year. So what is the offensive line? What is Andre Dillard? What is this offense? Like, this offense is just giving me whiplash. Like, 1 week you can't get anywhere close to the end zone. You can only put up a field goal, and then you turn around and score on 4 straight possessions. So I don't know what this Titans team truly is. I don't think they are what they were last week. And I don't know, after what we saw from them last week, if I can say that they truly are what they were against the Bengals. A really good and solid offensive performance. So I don't know what to expect from this line, from this offense.
Denny Green said they are who we thought they were. The Titans offense is who we've seen they are. They are an inconsistent offense. At times they can be really good, and at times they can be really bad. That's just them. And the offensive line is sort of a microcosm of even the defense at times. They play really good at times, and at times they don't play really good. This is a team, a picture of a team that isn't as there isn't. They are not a really good team. They are a average team that can't afford to not make plays when there are plays to be made. They can't afford to not block it up right. They can't afford to not run the right route. They can't afford to not. If it calls for you to blitz, then you blitz. They can't afford to. If it calls for you to play zone, you can't look in the backfield. You got to play zone. Or if it calls for you to play man-to-man, play man-to-man. You don't have any leeway. You're not that good where you can sort of do what you want to do. This team, if you do what we ask you to do, everybody, all 11 on defense and 11 on offense, if you do what we ask you to do, then the chances of us having a successful play goes up tremendously. But if you don't, we're not good enough to then overcome those mistakes that are going on. That's the Titans team.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Coming up next, I do not want to undermine how good of an offensive performance that was for the Titans yesterday, but there were 3 things offensively that stood out to me, and not in a positive way. So I want to kind of gauge your feelings, Willie and Derek, about how much of a concern are those really? How much are we going to keep that in mind moving forward? And we'll get into that coming up next. And, of course, your phone calls all show long, 615-737-1025. Hey, join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks in Madison this Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30 for our NFL pregame show. They'll break down the Titans' Week 5 matchup against the Colts and give you the latest updates before the game. Our NFL pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Beast Unleashed.
New home. New energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Catch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue is your home for hockey action all season long. They are Predators approved and all the games are on, and they'll even give you the sound. Get awesome game day drink specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. When you think hockey, think Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, or Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue. Go Preds!
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/primetime and use code PRIMETIME. That's code PRIMETIME at prizepicks.com/primetime for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Hey, this is Philip Forsberg. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
by the team today. Just generally, how do you feel like things this week worked when last week they did?
Yeah, we came out and responded. Obviously wanted to get things going early, and we were able to do that. Guys came out, played with a purpose from the first snap, played our style of ball, both offense and defense. So proud of our guys, the way we came out, responded, battled throughout the game, and ultimately came out to win.
There goes Ryan Tannehill, the difference from the offense last week to the offense this week. And I mean, it's crazy. It really is a week-to-week league. That 1 week, it's maybe the clunker of all clunkers. The next week, you turn around and have a really good day offensively. Just, always keeping you on your toes, this Titans team is.
But that's where you appreciate the even-keeled nature of Tannehill. If you listen to his tone, it's usually within reason about the same, right? Not too excited, proud of what they did yesterday. You could tell he was pumped that they responded, right? I think at one point his quote was, "We didn't listen to the noise," right? And that's your job as a professional. When everybody's going, "What's wrong? It was a disaster." You've got to keep the even keel, and you got to say block that out. And I think his professionalism is setting a good example too for Levis and Willis, who are sitting here watching all this stuff, right? You got to be a pro.
Yeah, listen.
And this isn't New York where you're going to get carved, really under the microscope. But still, he's had his share of criticism for sure.
Yeah, and he's going to take more criticism as the season goes.
He knows that.
He understands it. That's just the nature of the position. Again, sometimes you get too much praise for what you do, but sometimes you get too much of the blame.
That's the quarterback position.
That's the quarterback position. So he's handled it the best way a quarterback or a player in his position can handle it, this season. And, you just hope that you don't have to have too many of those, interviews that you had after the Browns game. You just wish, hope and pray that you don't have many more of those. But for the most part, I think Ryan has, he's been the leader and the pro that the Titans thought he was when they brought him in.
So there were 3 things, and I don't want to take away how good of an offensive day it was for the Titans, because it was, absolutely. But I always say even in a loss, you can take good things away. Even in a win, there are some things that you can nitpick, some things that you can criticize. There were 3 things offensively that I have questions about, that I might be concerned about, and I want to just talk it through, get everyone's concern level. Was that just an isolated incident? Is that something that's going to be an issue moving forward? The first one was D-Hop's drop. Now, DeAndre Hopkins is the guy that catches every single pass. So it's not, to me, it's not a level of concern that's going to be, oh no, DeAndre Hopkins can't catch a pass, so on and so forth. But that was one instance in a gotta-have-it moment where it could have been a massive play where he needed to catch that football and he didn't. And I know that there was a lot of deliberation of, was the ball underthrown, or was DeAndre Hopkins, should he have caught that? I watched it. I heard D-Mace's voice in my head saying, hit you in the hands. Got to catch it. So it's not an over-concern, but he did need to catch that football.
And D-Mase, I love that you have that mentality. It's what made you great as a receiver. It's how any receiver has to do it, but I do not count that as a drop. You use the word drop, Caroline. I cannot say that's a drop. That's a tough catch, full speed, back of the end zone. Got to not only catch it, but you got to be cognizant of, can I get my 2 feet in? That's a tough play. I think that's a play he can make, but I don't say that's one he should make necessarily.
He should, he can, he didn't. It's simple.
I'm not concerned about him at all. I love what they're getting from D-Hop after 4 weeks, and I think it's only getting better.
I think he's for one, he should have caught that pass, and nobody can tell me different. The man said it came out of his mouth. He should have caught it. Those are catches that he has made in his career more times than not.
And he's DeAndre Hopkins. He has a higher standard.
So do we think Nick Westbrook-Akine, we probably would have said, well, maybe he should have, maybe, I don't know. It's Nick Westbrook-Akine.
I would have said, well, he's not DeAndre Hopkins. What can you expect?
Absolutely. So when you have a player in that situation, a guy that has produced as much as DeAndre has, then that's a catch you got to make. And he said it himself. Am I worried? No, I'm not. But he has dropped, I think, 2 or 3 passes that it's like, maybe I didn't watch enough of Houston football or Arizona football, because maybe, he had drops in the game before. But from what I've seen, those were not, drops that I've seen him have in other games with other teams. But am I concerned about it? No, because I think a lot of times it's just a slight lack of concentration. Him so confident in his hands that he gets it and ready to go up the field. But he has had, I think, 2 or 3 drops that are uncharacteristic of him. But am I concerned about it? No, I'm not. As good as he is catching the football, you're not going to catch 100% of them.
Right. I thought he should have caught that, but that's not anything moving forward that's going to, make me lose sleep. Second thing, I thought Tannehill's interception was bad. It was bad. No, it didn't make a difference in the game. I understand that. I already hear people listening to the radio saying, well, it didn't matter. The Titans still won. But also, that's an interception that Ryan Tannehill can throw again in a much closer game that could be the difference between a win and a loss. And I thought that was a bad decision by Ryan Tannehill to throw that ball to a rookie Colton Dowell that has very little experience in this league and was in double coverage.
Is that maybe, just, hey, let's give the kid a chance to make a play here. I think I was watching the game at that point thinking, this game's over.
The game was done.
This game's over.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get this kid his first catch. That's what I saw with that throw. And so I had no problem with it.
He shouldn't have never thrown it.
Well, of course not. But but he wouldn't if it weren't 27-3.
We don't know if he wouldn't have.
I'm giving Ryan Tannehill, veteran 35-year-old, the benefit of the doubt there.
Well, he threw 3 bad interceptions against the Saints
it's
in a much
totally
game.
different situation. Totally different situation.
No, because he threw some into double coverage again. See, you got to look at sort of, is it just a one-off, or has he done this before? Well, he's done this before, so it's not a one-off. So to me, am I overly concerned about it? No, but he can't. Like you said, Willie, he's a 35-year-old veteran. He should know, even in situations like that, I can't make that throw.
He does know that.
That's why he can't. That's why he can't make it.
I admire. To me, I'm giving you the benefit. I'd love to ask him privately. Are you just trying to force the ball to Dowell there?
Well, I don't want
I'm willing to throw it and make my stats look worse so I can see if I can get a guy going, get him a catch.
It's not
see
about,
if I can get something out of a kid who was a 6th, 7th round pick.
But it's not your stats. It's the team. You can't make careless throws like that, even if, I could see if it was, 20 seconds left, and you needed to try to make a play, and you threw it into double coverage, and you're trying to give the guy an opportunity to make a play.
Right, he shouldn't have thrown it. In normal circumstances, you don't throw that.
But any other situation, I don't care if you're up 20. If you're up that many points, then you throw it over the guy's head, throw it out of bounds, do something. But am I overly concerned? That was the question, right? Are we?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Just concern level.
I am not overly concerned about that, but because we've seen this before, it's like, Tannehill, you can't do that. You can't. You're the leader of this team. You got to know that even in the position that we're in, we're winning. We've won this game. I still can't make a careless throw. Because I guarantee you, he went back on the film. He probably looked at the film today and was like, man, I can't make that. I can't do it.
I'm sure.
I can't do it. So if he says that about himself, for me to say anything otherwise wouldn't be right. Because I know in those situations, quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks are not going to make that throw unless they're down. If we're up, I'm dirting it. We move on. Young kid, I looked at you. It was double coverage. If we get the ball back again, I try to come back to you. But I'm not making that throw into double coverage.
And the Bengals did not capitalize on it.
No,
it was not the
Game's
difference
over.
of the game.
Over.
The game was over. I
have no idea why Joe Burrow's still in the game at that point. If I'm the
That's a
Bengals,
good point.
I'm like, what the heck are you still putting that guy out there for?
And I do think that was probably, and I don't know, but this is just my opinion of knowing Joe Burrow, the player that he is. I feel like that was a Joe Burrow decision of, I don't care. Like, I'm not leaving this football game. I am not going out as immobile as I am. But I'm with you that I wondered, like, when is Zach Taylor going to say, just sit down? Just like, you are not 100%. We are losing this game. You are not helping us in any form or fashion. Just sit down. But I think the third thing, too, and no, it was not the difference of the game. And yes, it still was a very dominant performance and a good win by the Titans. 24 points in the first half, 3 in the second. And now I don't know if it would have been a much tighter game. Would the offense have had a little bit more fire underneath it?
Absolutely.
Would have had more motivation to get into the end zone? Probably. But we've talked about before. I mean, I'll go back to last year, and I know every season is different. It's a different OC, different, playmakers, so on and so forth. But one thing that hurt the Titans so much last year was they had such good performances in the first half and kicked their feet up in the second. And that lost them some games. It made games a lot more closely contested than they probably should have been given their performance in the first half. So this second half offense, only a field goal in the second half. And yes, it was still a massive win, and the defense did their job, and the Bengals offense looks atrocious. But concern level of the second half offensive performance?
0. They played the scoreboard. They had the ball, their first drive, for 10 minutes and 22 seconds and got a field goal. That ended the game right there. That's it. Game was over. So I think good second half, honestly. You're playing the scoreboard. You're trying to run the clock out. Get out of there. You got to win. How often do you win 27-3 in this league?
Not very frequently.
Anything. They could have put Malik Willis in there at that point. And
no.
Why not?
That would change the whole trajectory of the game.
You think they had a chance of losing the game?
If they would have put Malik Willis in after half, hell yeah.
No, I didn't say after half. After they kicked the field goal to go up 27-3. Do you guys agree that was a great drive to start the second half?
No, it was.
They had the ball for 10 minutes. That ended the game right there.
It was.
That's a good second half drive.
It was a great drive.
They had the ball more minutes than they won the time of possession.
I'm saying after that, after you kick the field goal.
But you can't then bring in another guy that's just been sitting on a bench, because what you don't want to happen is the offense to get stagnant, and then that team on the other side gets a little bit confidence. I'm glad they didn't put in Malik Willis or whoever else. Leave Tannehill out there and let the offense go. But I'm with you, Caroline.
You guys are nitpicking.
The concern. No, it's just
you guys are nitpicking.
It's the
second. Don't worry about what happened the last 3 possessions of the game.
We're 1 week removed from the Titans putting up 3 points against the Browns and having like 100 yards of offense. I can't forget that. I can't just look past that and act like this Titans offense has been moving and grooving every single week. Let's continue it coming up next. And, of course, your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Well, the NFL week is about to end with Monday Night Football tonight. So, if you're still making those bets, which I know you are, you need to be making them on Zen Sports, which is making sports betting better with their cash rewards. Earn 3% cash back on your betting volume each month and an additional 5% cash back on your betting volume for your first 15 days on Zen Sports when using referral code CORNER. And now also earn up to an additional $100 gift card to the Corner Pub when you make your first bet using referral code CORNER. This Sunday, join Zen Sports at the Corner Pub downtown location of 5th Ave in Broadway to watch the NFL games, meet the Zen Sports team, and get some free fantastic food. All you have to do is sign up using code CORNER, and Zen Sports will also give you a gift card equal to double the amount on your first bet, up to $100. You will receive your gift card via email within 48 hours of making your first bet or when you arrive at the Corner Pub. Plus, you get to watch the games on the biggest LED screens in Nashville. That sounds like betting just got better. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Just like your car, your home has many moving parts, and we all know parts can go bad when they're not maintained regularly. That's why the trusted professionals at Lee Company recommend you invest in a home maintenance plan to ensure your home runs well all year long. For $12 per month, their reliable technicians visit your home 4 times a year to make sure your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical systems are running smoothly. Why wait for something to break? Visit LeeCompany.com today and schedule your first appointment online. Lee Company, all you need.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
They're homegrown in Nashville, discussing the biggest topics in the SEC.
The fans are going to want the rivalries to stick around. They've lost to Alabama every year.
The NFL.
What if all the top 3 quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3? You've got to draft your guy at 2.
And anything in between.
From thinking we know everything to then forgetting about everything we thought we knew the day before.
They're Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow on Outkick's Hot Mic.
Out of the gates, ready to go.
Weekdays from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Breaking down the Titans' 27-3 win against the Bengals. I do have to say, it was such a treat to not be nervous about a Titans game. We've been doing too much of that, too much down to the wire, too much back and forth, too much misery after that game against the Browns, and it was very nice to be able to just enjoy and have fun watching a Titans win. But one thing that I did want to touch on, the refs. I heard some colorful language from the crowd on the TV, because there was a couple drives, a couple of plays where there was one blatant missed offsides call. I mean, there were 2 Bengals defensive linemen that jumped, and I thought it was pretty obvious. Like, from just watching it in real time, I didn't even really need to see a replay. I was like, okay, well, that's clear. And I'm waiting for a flag. I think, really, did they miss that? My goodness. And then a couple plays later, I thought they called a pretty ticky-tacky false start in the Titans.
They also had a very ticky-tack pass interference on the play that ends up getting real chippy between Autry and the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
That's one of the worst pass interference calls I've seen on a 3rd and 3 where Burrow is just throwing the ball away. I don't even think McCreary touched the guy.
I'm not sure.
That was a bad call.
Yeah, I'm just,
absolutely terrible call. But I would say this. Every game is going to have some bad calls. I thought for the most part, the Titans got the benefit of the doubt. They got breaks.
From me, yeah.
They got breaks.
Yeah,
and I'll give you 2 big ones. The Chris Moore catch down the side, that's very close. That's very close. If you slow it down, it's debatable. The call on the field, and this is what Vrabel ran right over the guy. He drops the beanbag, and he's like, that's your call. You said he caught it, because the other guy comes running over and it's giving everybody, 60,000 people, the incomplete sign, and you're thinking, they're going to take this away. And the Titans won that debate. They didn't. Remember, they rushed up to the line and didn't even give – they blew up the next play.
Yeah.
Because the league, you're just waiting any second for the buzzer to go off, and they're going to go look at it. They got the benefit of the doubt on that call. That's a big play. It's a 40-yard play, or 44 yards.
Massive.
Then 3rd and 16 on that huge drive to start the second half, they get a roughing the passer or free shot. Not even sure what they call, but either one of them, you got Dean Blandino coming on in the broadcast saying, I don't see a 15-yard foul there.
Yeah.
That kept a drive alive. That was 3rd and 16 that ends up chewing up 11 minutes. So if I'm the Titans, I have no complaints about the referees at all.
Refs, and it's not just the Titans game. It's been other games. The refs have, I understand they got a hard job, but it's a job that you need to be on your game each and every week. A lot of times, and it's not like these refs are out of position. Some of these calls, like the call last week in Cleveland, that ref was standing right there. He wasn't out
Amari
of position.
Cooper?
Yeah, he wasn't out of position.
That was
awful. Just a horrendous call, like a horrendous call. You see other calls that are made. Again, not just the Titans. You start to wonder, like, what's really going on with these refs? Like, are they – there's just something like there has to be a level of accountability that everybody can see. Like, don't go behind closed doors and say whatever you need to say. There needs to be accountability, like, for these refs when they make certain calls. Why did you make that call? You saw the roughing the passer. I don't know what roughing the passer is no more. I don't.
It was unnecessary roughness.
I don't know what that is anymore.
But I didn't see it.
It wasn't unnecessary roughness.
It was not. Definitely not on the quarterback.
As soon as Ryan was throwing the ball, the guy was barreling down on him. It was a clean tackle. He didn't land on him. He didn't try to hurt him. It was just a routine tackle.
Sometimes gravity
and
happens.
And he threw the flag. And I'm thinking, like, is that what are they calling? Did I miss something? Then they go back and replay it. I'm like, well, that's just a routine tackle.
Big swing.
That was a big. Now it worked
massive.
out. It worked out for the Titans' favor. I give them that, and kudos for that. But it seems like there are like 2 or 3 calls in the play in games across the league every week that tilts it one way or the other. And they are not like, they're questionable calls. It's not like, okay, if we look at the replay, we can say, oh, I see what he saw on that one. And no, it's not that way. It's clearly like, I think in their minds, these refs, when it comes to the quarterback, they already predetermined. Like if they're
anticipating.
They're anticipating, okay, all right, he's in a pocket, he's about to deliver. It's a guy barreling down on them. Throw it. And then you look at it, it's like, I didn't do anything. And they can't explain it to the player, because if the player says anything, it's like he's putting himself in a position to get another 15-yard penalty.
One texter
They're looking
says,
for reasons to call it and not reasons to not call it. Same thing with roughing the passer. I think the same thing. I was worried on the play that Burrow got his arm hit, the ball goes flying in the air.
I thought they were going to call roughing.
And if you slow it down, he did graze the face mask a little bit on the way. It wasn't blatant at all. He just barely got a little bit, but his helmet did slide a little bit. And so I was almost surprised in the aftermath that they didn't call roughing the passer.
And now,
I always think, if your hand makes, any part of your body makes contact with the helmet,
the flag's usually coming.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's a football move, then
right, going after the arm, trying to deflect the pass.
Sometimes they may not call it because it was a football move. It's not like you deliberately tried to hit his helmet.
Right.
Now, another call that was made in favor of the Cincinnati Bengals, and this may be where the texter is going. Whatever was called on the field, I can see why they didn't overturn it. That was not a fumble by the quarterback, Joe Burrow. He was hit. His arm was coming forward. They caught him, but his wrist ended up going forward and throwing the ball. It almost like he got hit simultaneously and his wrist just kept going. He had a grip on the ball. That's what saved him.
Right.
He still had a grip on the ball. If the ball looked as if it was coming out of his hands, that would have been a fumble. But because he had grip on the ball, it was called an incomplete pass and not a fumble.
I agree.
I'm glad that you brought that up. I had no problem with that.
Yeah, I had no problem with it either. Whatever you call on the field, I can see that being the call, and it can be. Now, if it was called a fumble, maybe they would have said, okay, there's not enough evidence to overturn it. It's a fumble. Maybe, maybe not. But I think the call on the field was an incomplete pass.
It was.
Yeah.
It was an incomplete pass. Because so many times, especially after the Saints game, after that Derek Carr, it was called an incomplete pass, but I thought it was a very clearly and obviously a fumble because his arm was still back here when the ball came out. I've stepped away saying, okay, I don't really think I know the difference between a fumble and an incomplete pass anymore. That Joe Burrow, incomplete pass / fumble deliberation pass, I was like, okay, that's an incomplete pass.
I'm okay with that.
His arm was moving forward. The ball's trajectory was going forward. I thought, okay,
and he still had a grip on the ball. I think that's why they didn't call it a fumble, because he never lost control of the ball as his arm started to come forward. Now, Derek Carr's I don't know why they didn't call
The
that a
ball
fumble.
went backwards.
The ball was coming out of his hand. He did not have a grip on the ball. That should have been a fumble.
That's a big what if. If they made the right call on that, we might be talking about a 3-1 team.
But it's like every crew is like, I can see you looking at a holding call a little bit different from what another crew looks at it. I understand that. Or pass interference at time. I understand. But when it comes to roughing the passer, how is it that all of y'all don't see it the same? I don't understand that. Like, every crew varies from one to another. How do y'all see roughing the passer? They need to explain that to everybody.
It was unnecessary roughness. And one texter.
But it wasn't unnecessary roughness.
But it wasn't on Tannehill. I don't think.
No, they called it on Tannehill. They threw the flaw.
There was confusion. There was confusion.
Yeah, Blandino came on and he talked about that. They called it because he threw it right at the quarterback.
And they said it on 33, which is the guy that hit Tannehill. The one that looked more like unnecessary roughness was at the end of the play where the defensive back hits Chris Moore. Mm-hmm. That was a little closer to unnecessary.
I can see if they threw the flag at that point. But he didn't even throw the flag. The back judge that was watching
that's the weird part
throw
about
the flag.
Yes. So when Dean Blandino is confused and he's saying, I don't see a 15-yard penalty, because those guys usually don't like to. They like to side with the refs in most cases.
Because one texter texted and said the penalty was hands to the face on Spears. He ripped Spears' helmet off. Well, the penalty was unnecessary roughness.
Exactly.
And maybe it was ripping Tajay Spears' helmet off, but I didn't see that.
They would have said hands to the face, number whatever, and they would have replayed Tajay Spears getting his helmet ripped off. But it wasn't. They said the quarterback. They specifically said the quarterback. They didn't say Tajay Spears on television. The refs didn't say Tajay Spears. So, people, where are y'all getting this from?
It was I didn't understand it.
But it worked out for the Titans. I'm not because
he ripped his helmet off. I got to go back and look. I didn't see that.
The Titans have been on the bad end of some bad calls lately. So it's like karma. They got some good calls. They got some calls to their favor this time.
It's some good juju, but if the refs are gonna make a bad call, there's gonna come a day where the Titans are gonna be on the receiving end of that.
And they were.
So I will nitpick any bad call that I think is bad because it might help you one day, it might hurt you the next week.
Yes.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Let's get TD's thoughts on the Titans game yesterday. He will join us coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
DraftKings Sports and Social is bringing you the ultimate fan experience this football season with a 48-foot media wall, 22 TVs, mouth-watering game day eats, and cold beer. DraftKings Sports and Social, opening October 5th at Nashville Live on 2nd Avenue.
Green Trees Company Dispensary and 102.5 The Game want to send you to see Kiss at Bridgestone Arena October 23rd. Keep listening to Nashville's best sports talk for your chance to win tickets to see Kiss on their End of the Road tour, courtesy of Green Trees Company Dispensary.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is delivered by Black Tie Moving. This is Nick Frazier with your Game Center update. Saturday, the Tennessee Vols hosted the South Carolina Gamecocks and won 41-20. With that win, it puts the Vols record to 4-1. Here was head coach Josh Heupel after the win.
You know, our fans, what I expected, and were an impact on the football game. I said it earlier in the week that they needed to be a part of this football game, and they were today. Love the effort from our guys during the course of the football game. Started fast. We didn't play perfect, but they reset. They answered the bell each round, each unit, and continue to compete hard.
Tune in Thursday for more hockey action as the Nashville Predators host the Carolina Hurricanes in one of their last preseason games before the season. You can listen to the game right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Game Center update delivered by Black Tie Moving. Use the promo code GAME to score 10% off your next move.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
It was pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. The Titans with a perfect timed get-right game, 27-3 win over the Cincinnati Bengals. Joining us to break it all down is TD Teron Davenport. TD, always appreciate chatting with you and breaking down the Titans games with you every single Monday. I've been struggling with this, TD, because we go from the clunker of all clunkers last week to one of the best offensive performances that we've seen from the Titans, maybe the best that we've seen since that Green Bay game last season. So what is this Titans team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say they're somewhere in between, and we know that Browns defense has done well against pretty much everybody they faced for the most part. They obviously had the loss to the Ravens yesterday, but I think that game was more or less of a one-off kind of thing, and going forward they should be good offensively. It's just a matter of that play calling coming together and the execution as well. You heard Mike Vrabel, he said it's all about the players, but I think there is something to those guys being put in position to make plays, right? You look at Josh Wiley and his 2 catches, the play action one, that had Jermaine Pratt, number 57. He didn't know what to do because he wanted to fire up and come up and make a play against the run, and Wiley just snuck right by him and was wide open. And then you look at the King Cat, right, the touchdown pass. Mm-hmm. A good play call with execution, and everything worked out perfectly.
Yeah, one of those play calls that I'm looking around like, what is going on here? What's going on? TD is with us, and you mentioned the differences in play calling. I thought Tim Kelly called a fantastic game yesterday. But in your opinion, what is the difference? Is it execution? Is it utilizing play action more? What is the difference between maybe last week and this week in terms of Tim Kelly's play calling?
Well, I think the big part of it was protection, and then also they were able to stay ahead of drives pretty well. And when you're in that situation where you're not facing 3rd and 13 consistently, right, and you're not facing Myles Garrett and that group of pass rushers, you could open up the playbook a little bit more and dial up some plays. And that's what he was able to do because the protection was there, and they were being productive early on in series. And that allows you to get in your bag, so to speak, and that's exactly what Tim Kelly did.
We're talking with Teron Davenport, discussing the Tennessee Titans' victory yesterday versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati has had their number, TD, for a couple of outings now, and it was just good. It's almost, and tell me if you felt this, it's almost as if the Titans took it personal this time with the Cincinnati Bengals because they know what has happened in prior games with this team.
Yeah, I think it was a little more personal this week, and the thing that was pretty cool about it is it was personal for the fans, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got to shout out the fans. They caused the Bengals to call a timeout, early in the game, and it was personal for everybody, it seemed like. So you're right there, and you saw it right from the start, too, right? Jeffrey Simmons getting into the mix a little bit, getting into it with Joe Mixon, and then Danico Autry, he had his able to control, and not throw that punch that it looked like he was ready to. So that was a good thing for him. But, those guys they definitely took it personal.
Now, TD, you know how much I like Treylon Burks and how much I rave about him. And the kid has a lot of potential. But it just, for whatever reason, it hasn't materialized consistently for him. But on the flip side, guys like Chris Moore, Nick Westbrook-Akine have made plays when opportunities have been given to him. With that being said, should Vrabel now think about, hey, listen, Treylon, you're still our future, but we need to start giving these other guys more playing times, i.e. Chris Moore, really. I like Nick Westbrook-Akine. You guys know this. He's playing a perfect role, I think, now. But Chris Moore is the guy that I think can really help this offense, and he's proven it.
Yeah, Chris Moore's average per catch is crazy right now. So I think it's, in the 30s. So when you look at that, it's just one of those things where when you go his direction, he's going to make something happen. And I love the way he attacks the football. I love how he's able to stack DBs. So he does deserve more opportunities. Right now, Nick Westbrook at Kenny, this past week, he led them in snaps once again, and it's been that way pretty much every game this season. So he's getting his shots. And I think when you look at Burks, it's almost like, okay, you know what? Do you want to just slow down and give that knee extra time to heal so that way when you do get him back, you're getting that full go of him as opposed to, the patchwork, like, hey, okay, we're going to sit you this day and then we'll have you in practice that day, so on and so forth.
Deron Davenport is with us. And I'm glad D-Mase brought up Chris Moore because he's in this group of players I'm going to ask you about, TD. And I don't want to shortchange these guys, but I do like the song, so it's kind of funny. I'm the thrift shop guys, right? It's Rand Carthon's first group of free agents. He didn't have a ton of budget to go get all the guys he wanted at the highest prices in the nicest store, right? So he goes and gets Chris Moore, Al Shire. Obviously, Dillard is in this mix at a very expensive position. Brunskill, Shawn Michael Bunting. How do you think collectively after 4 games this group of free agents is doing?
Yeah, well, instead of going to Macy's, Rand, he said, I'm going to go to Target. That's really what it's boiled
really what it is.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with Target.
So would you put Target above the thrift shop that Macklemore was going $20?
Oh, yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
Target's a step up.
Yes.
Okay. You can get some nice things at very reasonable prices at Target.
Okay.
He's gotten some nice players at very reasonable prices. If you look, Azeez Al-Shire, I think it was 51 snaps he played yesterday. He played, I think, all of the snaps. That dude was all over the place, even blitzing and in coverage. You saw him come up and fill against the run. He had an outstanding game, so you got that. Daniel Brunskill, if you notice, we haven't really said much about the right side of the offensive line. So you can lump in Chris Hubbard, too. So now you got 2 guys on that side that have pretty much held it down pretty well, and then they did have a breakdown and allowed a sack in this past game, but, that's going to happen. Then you move it on to Murphy Bunting, the physicality, right? Going into the game, talking to him and some of the other guys, Fulton and McCrary, Byard, hey, the goal was to keep everything in front of you and tackle. And he's one of the best tacklers on that team, so you got that. And then who was the other ones? We said Murphy Bunting, Brunskill, Al Shire, and Chris Moore. We talked about what he's done as far as average per catch, and just every time the ball goes his way, good things happen. So all 4 or 5 of those guys, it's been really good. And I think you could even lump in Arden Key in there.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a higher price as compared to the other ones, but it's still a good deal there. You get a pass rusher for $7 million a year. And, he had a sack, and he's getting pressures. So all across the board, they're doing well. And, look, don't look now, but Andre Dillard is coming into form, too, because he has some pretty good blocks to spring Derrick Henry for a couple of those long runs.
There's hope for that collection. If they keep moving in that direction, you feel good about where they could be in a couple of months. TD, I want to ask you about one more guy. This was a classic Derrick Henry game yesterday, but if you look closely, Tajay Spears, to me, is this close to really busting out and having a couple of huge plays. I love how he can catch a ball or get a run where he's at a dead stop. His acceleration from point A to point B is really remarkable to me. So I feel like there's more good things coming from him. I saw him in pass protection a few times, pick up a blitz. I think we're just scratching the surface, in my opinion, of what he's going to be.
Yeah, 100%. And, I've said it before, the ability that he has to accelerate. It reminds us like that Tesla, the Model S, I think it is, the one that goes 0 to 60 in like 2.7 seconds. That's what he does. And you saw it yesterday. You see it every week. He's electrifying. And having a guy like that in the lineup, it helps. And it's funny because, they have he and Henry on the field together, and you see that, short motion that he goes into, and they'll run Henry the opposite way or they'll throw it to Spears. He had a really good catch early in the game on a conversion where Tannehill was in the pocket and he had to slide to his left a little bit, then move to his right. Spears showed a lot of maturity as a pass catcher in that he moved with him and squared his numbers up and gave Tannehill a nice big target to throw it to, and I think it was a fourth down.
That's fourth down. Yeah, that's a massive play to answer the field goal. And then the other pass he caught, like it's not in the passing stats right now. There's, you look at the yards, like 28. There was a swing pass they threw to him, and it looks like it's going nowhere. Like they don't have blockers out there, but he just catches it and makes something out of it and makes it into a good play. I feel like it's just a matter of time before you really see that translate into big plays. Like the one where he bobbled it, scooped it up, and runs the other way and ends up with 20-something. I think there's more of that coming.
I'm yet to see the first defender tackle him. And that right there is a testament to what he brings to the table. And it's funny because, all these people were getting on Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel and the crew for taking a running back in the third round. But you have to remember, you don't always pigeonhole somebody into a position. He's just a weapon. Like if you ask me about Spears, I don't say running back Tajay Spears. I say weapon Tajay Spears.
TD.
Go ahead, D-Mase. Go ahead.
No, obviously this game, it's sort of they put everything together from an offensive standpoint, defensive standpoint, and special teams. How do you see this working out now that the players are starting to come back? Nicholas is coming back a little bit earlier than what they expected. Kyle Phillips, I think he's getting ready to potentially come back. And then some other guys. Peter coming back. How do you see this team looking once these guys come back?
Yeah, that's just more depth to the mix. And Mike Vrabel was asked a bit about possibly mixing some things up on the offensive line, once everybody, Petit Frere and Skoronski and everybody is back. And, he had the quote. He said, as a coach, you're never happy. You know what I mean? And that's true. You're always looking for some way to get better. And I think, that's a good thing where you have more options and more combinations to utilize if you choose to. So I think it's only going to get better from here. And, hey, we know this team is one that the injuries, they'll pile up from time to time. So the more options you have, the better.
TD, last one from me. Looking at the AFC South, you got 4 teams that are 2-2, and the Colts and the Texans actually look a lot better than I anticipated them to look. And I know we're only 4 weeks in, but what do you make of the division so far?
Hey, I tell you what, C.J. Stroud, through 4 games, he's doing just fine, right? Only Cam Newton has more passing yards to start the first 4 games of your career. So that's saying something. He passed Andrew Luck. So Stroud is a solid, really good player. So he's already off to a really good start. And Anthony Richardson, man, it's he's like the bionic man. You watch him. I don't know if you guys got to see that game, but Aaron Donald, was closing on him, and he had a jump pass with Aaron Donald about to rock him. 44 yards down the field, perfect pass to Alec Pierce. And, man, that's going to be a tall order for the Titans this week. So you look at those teams, and mind you, the Colts are doing that without Jonathan Taylor, right, 2-2. So you got that, and the Jaguars, they had a win, and, they're still always going to be there, and that's a team that, they typically have won these close games, and they play very similar as far as style to the Titans. So it's going to be a competitive division. I don't think the Colts and the Texans are the automatic wins that some people thought they would be.
Yeah, those are 2 rookie quarterbacks that look like they are special and are going to continue to be special throughout the rest of the season. TD, appreciate you as always. We'll chat with you soon.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Thanks, TD. Coming up next, we'll react to what TD had to say, plus our thoughts around the division. Because right now, Jags are 2-2, you're 2-2, the Colts are 2-2, the Texans are 2-2, and you're taking on your first divisional opponent coming up this weekend. So we'll get into that, and of course, your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
All the big plays.
Henry, touchdown!
Touchdown, Tennessee! All the big stories.
I fully expected DeAndre Hopkins wanting a one-year deal.
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee! You're gonna make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
Such superstar players. The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Being value conscious and getting the most for your money is so important these days, and that's why it's more important than ever to shop at Genesis Diamonds, the undisputed value leader.
Part of the education at Genesis Diamonds is we explain to you how we travel the world and purchase our diamonds, how we buy in bulk, we pay cash for our diamonds so we can save every possible percent to save you money on your diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
There are no middlemen, there are no other wholesalers or dealers, so we cut out all of those extra added markups and pass those savings on to you.
When you combine that unmatched value with a totally no-pressure shopping experience, you know you're in the right place.
Because we do not work on commission, our sole purpose is to make sure you get exactly what you want. There's nothing in it for us personally, whether you spend $1,000 or $100,000.
That's why at Genesis, people often end up spending less than they had budgeted.
Our goal is to purely present you with options so you can choose exactly what you want.
The value you want, the experience you deserve. Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Oh, Charlie's, that's where you'll find me. That southern flavor got me saying, hey, y'all. And ooh, that gooey caramel pie tastes like summertime at Old Charlie's.
The sweet, sweet sounds of this song are in honor of the sweet, sweet news that free Pie Wednesdays are back at O'Charlie's. O'Charlie's. Oh, that's good.
Yum, yum, have some fun. O'Charlie's, born in Nashville, and it shows.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah. And like us on Facebook, too. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game, and the Game Nashville app. Hey, DraftKings Sports and Social, the most epic sports watching experience in town, is opening downtown on 2nd Avenue this Thursday, and Stillman & Company will be broadcasting live from location from 2 to 6 p.m. DraftKings Sports and Social features a massive state-of-the-art 33-foot LED screen, their world-famous menu, and signature curated cocktails. That is this Thursday, the grand opening of DraftKings Sports and Social downtown on 2nd Avenue.
Okay, can I just say at this point it's 1:20, and we have done a very good job not letting the show completely get off the rails because Nick brought the cookies in from his
Mama Frazier.
And we have done a good job of just taking the cookies, eating them without getting distracted because these are really good. I told Caroline, she was the third person to try the cookies. I was like, you're not going to be able to eat just one of those.
And I just came back for seconds. They're so good.
Man,
So,
Mama Frazier, those cookies
thank you to
are
Mama Frazier for the cookies. They are
so
delish.
good, man. Nick, you can't bring them in here no more. You can't.
That's fine.
Because we all going to gain about 20 pounds. You keep bringing this stuff in
fat
here.
and happy throughout the holiday season.
You guys should see a Sunday dinner. It is quite the spread. I'll make sure to pass the message along. Yeah, those cookies, if you have them with some coffee, man,
they're good.
They'd say less.
I mean, yeah, seriously, twist my arm. Absolutely. Well, the Titans go. That's why we have the cookies to celebrate for the Titans. 27-3 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. And all last week, we talked about should the Titans consider trading Ryan Tannehill at the trade deadline? Should the Titans consider trading Derrick Henry at the trade deadline? At a certain point, you're going to have to pivot. At a certain point, you're going to have to start making some really difficult decisions. And we were having those conversations because the performance in Cleveland was so bad that it breeded zero confidence for the future or what this team could do. But we said all last week, look, you beat the Bengals, and then you're 2-2, and it's a really different conversation. And that's where we find ourselves. And that is how crazy the NFL is. That's how, different a week-to-week conversation can be. That's how much one single game can change your perspective or can change the trajectory of a team or a division. So those conversations of Tannehill and Henry being traded, throw them out the window. If we need to have them again, we'll have them again.
Until next week.
But until next week, we can talk about how we saw vintage Tannehill and Henry on Sunday.
But realistically, if they win one more game between now and the trade deadline, they are not going to be out of the race because the race right now, nobody has jumped out. Everybody's 2-2. So it's almost like you're starting the season from today. So just what's happened in the last 24 hours with all of the teams, really, it has you saying, look, you go 9-8, could win this division, and you're not going to be out of it at the trade deadline. And as we said before the season, they had decided, for better or worse, they are right in between. They're not all in, where everything's riding on this season. They have one eye on the future. They're straddling eras, to use the Kuharski term, but they certainly are not rebuilding. So it's not their intention to go trade for a bunch of draft picks, even though if they were out of it, it would make sense to do that. But it doesn't really look like they're going to be out of it now.
No, it doesn't. As we speak, every team in the division is 2-2, I believe.
Every team is 2-2, and Titans are the only team that has yet to play a divisional game.
Exactly. So this game will be crucial because even though they're 2-2, I think Indianapolis or Jacksonville is up a game because I think Indianapolis beat Jacksonville, right?
So the Titans technically are last in the division right now.
Yeah, because they hadn't played.
Because they have 0 divisional wins.
Exactly.
Jacksonville beat Indianapolis.
Yeah, so Jacksonville truly is ahead of the division because they did beat Indianapolis.
But Indianapolis beat Houston.
Yeah, so I guess it's like they're tied for the division. Jacksonville and Houston are tied for the division because they both have a division game in hand.
And then Houston beat Jacksonville. So every team in the division is 1-1 in the division,
with the exception of the Titans.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone except the Titans are 1-1.
because they hadn't played.
But our August thing of just beat the Texans and the Colts twice each—that's 4-0 right there in the division. That's looking tough.
But
that's looking tough.
I think we did discuss too that listen, these teams when you were talking about not Jacksonville, but Houston and Indianapolis, because they do have new quarterbacks. I don't think we thought they would be bad. We didn't think they would win the division, but we thought they would be a hard out for either the Titans or the Jacksonville Jaguars because clearly we thought those two teams are the two better teams in the division, and whoever wins the matchup between those two teams ultimately probably wins the division. But I'm starting to. Houston's a good team, good defense. C.J. Stroud he's not playing like a rookie. He's playing within the offense.
Could have been a Titan.
Yeah, could have been a Titan. Damn it. But he's playing within the offense. They are doing things to allow him to find the playmakers that they got on offense. Indianapolis, they are, even though Richardson didn't play, when he's in the game, that raw ability that everybody talked about in college and that got him drafted so high, you truly see why they drafted him if you've watched him play. And I know Indianapolis fans hope that he just continues to learn the game because if you're talking about physical attributes, he can do everything on the field that he needs to do as a quarterback. And it has shown in games. He doesn't have the gaudy numbers, but he's doing what they're asking him to do. He's not necessarily turning the ball over. He's doing it with his legs, with his arm, and then the defense is helping. So when these games are going to be difficult anyway because they're division games, but you can't. It's like you're playing against. It's like you're playing against a young Steve McNair because of what he can do physically, and once he finally gets it all. Look out, because he's going to be hell to stop because not only can he run the football and throw it, now he knows and understands the game that he's playing on an NFL level. So it's going to be a hard out for anybody that plays Houston and Indianapolis.
It doesn't seem as much of a gimme.
No, it's not.
Wes in Clarksville, Texas, phone lines driven by WilsonConline.com, says just win our 6 divisional games and we'll be good. Like, yeah, no,
oh, that's so easy, isn't
totally.
it?
Yeah, but that seems a little bit more difficult now than maybe it did. But I think that's one of the reasons that makes Sunday's win so key and so important is 2-2 versus 1-3. That's 1 game difference, but that's a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way different feeling. Like, I don't know what Mo Egger and everybody in Cincinnati radio is talking about today, but I would like to think that it's probably panic button time.
The panic
That
button
there
has
is
been
some
pushed.
Serious concern with being 1-3. 2-2 keeps you right there in the division, and I think it's also the manner with which the Titans won.
What do you
It
guys?
was not a squeak by overtime. It was a dominant win. Sorry, Willie, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What do you guys think the line will be on Sunday? In Indy, the Colts are 0-2 at home.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting beat, but they made a great comeback yesterday. Had a chance to win, lost in overtime. If they win the coin toss, we could be talking about something different. I mean, the Rams took the coin toss, went all the way down, scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But Richardson is back, and he's not. So like this offense for the Colts, completely different than what they faced last week with the Bengals, with a immobile quarterback in Burrow who couldn't go anywhere. Now you've got the six-pack offense that was made famous in Philly that Shane Steichen has brought to Indy. Richardson has run for a couple. He's had some dynamic runs. He's had some good throws. I'm really curious about this particular game. It's a big X factor. I don't know what the line is going to be. I'm curious. If you told me either team was favored, I'd say, okay, I see.
I'd say Indy 2.5.
Indy 2.5. So the Titans have been an underdog all 4 weeks. So this could be 5 for 5 as an underdog.
I think the home field factor. I think it's kind of a pick 'em.
Yeah, if it was I would either lean toward pick 'em.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not a pick 'em, then I can't imagine the spread on either side can be no more than 3 points.
This past Sunday, it was the Rams +1 and Indianapolis -1, so it was almost a pick'em game as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd assume this game would probably be around 48.5 for the over/under.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just guessing.
I'm looking at what ESPN has. They have Indy favored by 1.5. Now, before the season, would you have thought that? I would be like,
No.
I don't know about that. Indy's favored. And the over/under, Nick, is 43, so a little lower than even what you said.
Interesting. I just figured because the Titans come off a 27-point game and Indianapolis can put up 20-plus points in a heartbeat, like that should where the line should be. But honestly, 43.5 might be a gimme on the over.
Part of it might be, and I think you already heard this theme a little bit at Vrabel's press conference that we played, the home road thing. The Titans' offense on the road has been Jekyll at home, Hyde, or
whatever the good one is.
Whatever the good one is, yeah, it's been too they've got to prove that they can get something done on the road.
Well, let's continue that coming up next, because I think there's 2 factors that you could look into here: home road factor and the Burrow factor. And I don't think I buy into either. And we'll discuss it coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Just remember, if you are looking to buy a new home or you've got your eye on an investment property, but you may have your eye on that property and say, you know what, I don't. How do I get the cash to make the down payment? Well, Loan Pronto has it for you. The Dream Home Bridge Loan. That's what they've been doing. The Dream Home Bridge Loan can help tap your equity quickly to make the clean offer on that investment property or new home with the cash to cover the down payment. So with this program, you get that cash quick, very little paperwork involved, usually no appraisal needed, and then you can go aggressively after that property with no contingency. Then when your current house sells, the bridge loan completely disappears. So don't put off the dream. Let Loan Pronto help you. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com and ask about the Dream Home Bridge Loan. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, former quarterback for the Houston Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler, and member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As a former player, I've always focused on my health. Did you know about 1 in every 3 people in the U.S. will have shingles in their lifetime? Shingles can cause nerve pain and can last for months or even years. As we get older, our risk of having shingles and its serious complications increases. Getting the shingles vaccine is the only way to prevent shingles. Join me and gear up against shingles.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
The Nashville Oktoberfest is quickly approaching, and now's the time to get your dirndls, Lederhosen, and Party Steins ready. From local breweries to live music and festival artisans, you can't go wrong celebrating this free family fun Germantown tradition. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2023, Thursday, October 5th through the 8th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prepare yourself for 4 days of brats, beer, live music, and competitions. VIP experience reservations are still available at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. Prost, y'all!
Hey, Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063 The Game, and The Game Nashville app, breaking down the Titans' 27-3 win over the Cincinnati Bengals at Nissan Stadium yesterday. And man, does it feel a whole lot different today than it did this time last week.
Very tingly.
When we
As
had
Dana Carver used to say, I
Yeah.
feel all tingly inside.
Yeah, when we get some callers calling in. I'm giving up my season tickets and I'm never going to another Titans game again. Feels a whole lot different. And look, I get it. 1 week in the NFL can be a massive swing. We learned that last season. It came down to one game against the Jags, one bad fumble call on Josh Dobbs, and there you go. That was the season. You lose the division and you miss the playoffs. So, razor-thin margins in the NFL. But I kind of anticipated one of these things happening, and it was the discredit of the Titans because, well, Joe Burrow's hurt. Because Joe Burrow's not 100% Joe Burrow. And I know that's going to be the national conversation because talking about Joe Burrow is probably a lot sexier than talking about the Titans offense from a national perspective. I get that. I've come to terms with that. It's a much easier pill to swallow now. But what I don't want is the conversation of, well, the Titans won because Joe Burrow wasn't 100%. Because Joe Burrow's injury had nothing to do with the Titans offense looking as good as it did. Now, did Joe Burrow's injury have something to do with the Bengals not being able to put up more points than 3? Yes, absolutely. Maybe this was a closer game if Joe Burrow was 100%. But I'm stepping away from this game feeling so confident because the offense looked the way that it did. And Joe Burrow's injury has nothing to do with the play calling and Derrick Henry looking the way that he did and the passing game looking the way it did, how Tim Kelly utilized play action the way that he did. So I can't take anything away from that.
I am never ceases to amaze me that nationally the line about this game is all about the Bengals and what's the problem with the Bengals. But it's logical. They got to the Super Bowl a couple years ago and they got back to the AFC Championship game. And there's no doubt in my mind. My fear was that Burrow would be much more mobile, that he would take a step forward, and they would have another dimension to their offense, or they'd get better at running what they had been running, and that was not the case. This turned out to be a perfect time to play the Bengals, but give the Titans credit for taking full advantage.
Yeah, but you just got to understand why the narrative, at least this season, last season was last season. I think you got to understand why the narrative is the way it is when it comes to the Titans. Because when you had a chance to win against a New Orleans Saints team that many thought, hey, listen, this is a game they should win. they got a new quarterback. They're missing Alvin Kamara. The defense, yeah, it's good, but this is the first game of the season. The Titans seem like, okay, they're the team that has been together for the longest, especially on defense. And you didn't expect the defense to play the way it did at times against New Orleans. And you go out and you lose that game. Then you come back and you have a close win against the Chargers. So now, instead of saying, this is a good game by the Chargers, everybody was saying, well, the head coach needs to be fired. Look at Herbert again. He can't do it. This Charger team, they always charger themselves and ends up messing up the game.
It's a weekly thing.
Exactly. So then that happened, but then you come back the next following week and you just get mollywopped by the Cleveland Browns, where many thought that, hey, listen, that offense of Cleveland is struggling, and is Deshaun Watson ever going to be able to put it together? There was more doubt for Deshaun Watson than it was for the Tennessee Titan team. And you allowed a guy that has been struggling for a year, let's say almost a calendar year, almost a season. He's been struggling because what he played, 8 games last year, 8 games last year, and didn't look good. But then he hasn't looked good up, the 3 games prior, the 2 games prior. So you had a guy that has played basically a half a season that has not looked good, that hadn't played really in a season in a full year prior to that, but you let him come out and look like the Deshaun Watson of old. So now, fast forward, you come to Cincinnati, people are like, well, it's because of Joe Burrow and he wasn't healthy. Okay, yeah, but the Titans played really good.
29-yard touchdown run because Joe Burrow has a calf strain?
But the narrative is, and it's the Titans' fault. It's nobody else's fault. It's the Tennessee Titans' fault. Because, like Willie said, you're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One week you look good. Yeah. The next week you look horrible. Then you look good. Then you look horrible again. So people are like, they see you beat the Cincinnati Bengals in that fashion, and in their minds, they're thinking like, no, Titans ain't this good. It can't, because they're too up and down to be this good.
They're underdogs against the Colts, so there's still not a lot of belief around the league that they're good.
They got to string wins together. I believe TD was the one that asked Vrabel about, can you build off of this? And he's right. You got to be able to consistently play good football. You can't play good football one week and then come back the next week, and this is my word for the year, get mollywopped the next week, and then come back and play a good game. Announcers, critics, everybody are going to be looking at you like, which team are we getting?
Such Willy Wonka vocabulary.
Exactly. There we go.
The other factor, too, is home and away.
Yeah.
You're 0-2 on the road. You're 2-0 at home. I don't really know how much being home versus being away is a factor. I don't know how much different that game against Cleveland would have been if it was at Nissan Stadium. I don't think Myles Garrett looked the way that he did, and the offensive line just getting mollywopped was because you were on the road. And I don't know if Ryan Tannehill's 3 interceptions were because he was in New Orleans. Now look, the Dome's not an easy place to play.
No,
and
loud.
It gets loud at the Superdome. And I think there are probably a few false starts and maybe the slow start for the Titans offense was due to the Superdome and how loud it was in there. But overall, did he throw the interceptions and lose that game because they were on the road?
I don't think it's so much. I think it when the crowd starts to get injected into conversation, it does from an offensive line standpoint. It does affect them being a home and away. Defense is not really going to affect them either way, because actually it might be a little bit to a disadvantage for the defense, because you can't hear your calls because your crowd is so loud trying to pump everybody up that you can't sometimes hear the defensive calls. So I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with everybody. I think it's the offensive line. When they're trying, it's all about communicating down the line. When they cannot hear the calls being made away, that that extra second or half a second advantage they get at home, they don't get it on the road.
Yeah.
You know, now as a defensive guy, if I'm on the road as an offensive lineman, I gotta really be tuned in to what's going on, you know, on the offensive line. I gotta see the ball. It's no longer just hearing it. I gotta see the ball too, which takes my eyes off the defensive lineman, especially the ends. So he can get a half a second, maybe a little bit less than that. I'm not a, you know, math major here, but they do get an advantage, and it hurts the offensive line. So that's why playing at home for the offensive lineman is a little bit better, because they can hear everything, as opposed to playing in a place like New Orleans where it's deafening. Cleveland, that's a hard place to play, because when those I love Cleveland. I love playing in their stadium. I love their fans, because they give it to you, but they respect what you're doing. But they are loud. If their team is winning, they are loud, and it's difficult to hear in that stadium.
I totally hear that, and I think home and away is, you know, a total factor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Andre Dillard got pancaked by Myles Garrett because of how loud it was in the Cleveland Stadium. I think that he just got worked. Let's wrap it up with some of your thoughts coming up next. 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025-1063 The Game.
Green right, Fox 2 run, double catch. He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville invites you to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month by donating to Breast Cancer in Action. BRA's mission is to empower breast cancer survivors physically and emotionally by creating inclusive communities where all can grow in strength, resilience, and joy. Find it in your heart to donate by going to info@bragroups.org. Pella Windows and Doors would also like to thank their sponsors of their Putt for Pink Customer Appreciation event: Binks Lodge, the Nashville Predators, Apio Media, Little House Animal Hospital, Mid-10 Ford, and 102.5 The Game.
You know that feeling you get when your team goes big? You can get that same feeling on Zen Sports, where you score with cash rewards every bet you make. Earn cash rewards on your betting volume each month, and even more cash during your 15-day welcome bonus period. So say goodbye to deposit bonuses that turn into deposit nightmares, and say hello to a better sportsbook experience and real cashback rewards. Zen Sports. Betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and up and in Tennessee to bet.
Are you looking to buy a new home? Need cash now instead of having to wait for your current house to sell? Don't get ripped off by one of those I buy your house people. Call Loan Pronto. Hey, Willie Donick here. Loan Pronto's Dream Home Bridge Loan can help tap your equity so you can get the cash you need. Make a clean offer on that new home or that investment property with cash to cover the down payment. With this amazing program, you can get the cash in a matter of days. Very little paperwork, and usually no appraisal is needed. So you can go after the house you want with no contingency. Then when your current house sells, the bridge loan completely disappears. Don't put off your dream. Let Loan Pronto help you leverage your equity so you can get the cash to make a solid, clean offer. Call now, 615-499-5780. Ask about the Dream Home Bridge Loan. LoanPronto.com. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Come try Calabria Brick Oven Pizzeria. Their pizza is cooked to perfection, but that's not all they're known for. Try one of their delicious appetizers, salads, fresh calzones, and they have a full bar and dessert. Calabria has been a Mount Juliet staple for 7 years now and has a new location in the heart of Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Come join the family at Calabria. After all, life's too short to eat bad pizza.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. For more, follow.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Today's your day. We've done a whole lot of talking, but the Titans won yesterday. An important get-right game. It was a game that I felt like they needed to have just to avoid 1-3, to avoid, just adding salt into the Cleveland wound. But wins heal most wounds. And they won on Sunday, and they looked pretty good doing it. So let's get into some of your thoughts. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dustin in Hopkinsville, Kentucky says, the Titans should still trade Tannehill and Henry while a couple teams are desperate. And Henry and Tannehill just showed that they've still got it. Use those pieces to build. I'm absolutely not sold on the Bengals game. They are terrible. The next game is a must-win divisional game. This is the game that you totally decide to sell the farm or go all in. Can you decide that based off of one game? I know you don't have very many games to look at before you decide, what you want to do. But I think that they showed enough that, hey, this team's got potential.
They're not.
They want to win.
Yeah, they're not moving off of Ryan. If they continue, if they just stay where they are, if they stay in a race with winning the division, I can't see them trading away Derrick Henry or Ryan Tannehill unless they are getting back. So again, unless it's a trade you can't refuse. But I can't see them, if the season continues to go this way where they're always like a game out or 2 games out, they're not trading these guys. So let's see what happens next game. And then the game, I think the rest of this month. When is trade deadline, Willie? Is it at the end of the month?
The 31st.
31st of October.
Right.
So let's see where this
7
team
games
is.
in.
Yeah, let's see where this team is. Toward the end of this month, and then we can sort of have that conversation again. But right now they're in the thick of things, and they're in a good position. They got the coach this week, by the way. Jonathan Taylor has been taken off the PUP list, and they said he will practice Wednesday. So
what a mess.
You add him to the mix, the quarterback to the mix. Man, oh man.
It's going to be a big theme of the week.
Yeah.
I think every day. I think probably even the national shows will hone in on what the plan is for Taylor, because that got pretty nasty. But you look at that offense and say, wow, you put him in that 6-back offense that is already showing some signs of life, right? They're kind of ahead of where they thought they would be. Richardson doesn't look like he's way behind by any stretch. He's had good moments.
Yeah.
Now you put Taylor back there? That's tough.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden the second most important Taylor in the NFL. Clearly. Based off all of the
based off
coverage.
of what the NFL has done, and it's been nauseating, to say the least.
It's a lot.
Yes, it's a little bit too much.
It's too much for me.
Yeah.
I'm over it now. Another texter says, momentum is a real thing. Joe Burrow's injury was a big factor for the Titans' win. Momentum from offense to defense. Defense to offense is real. We are 2-10. No, you're not. You're 2-2. 2-10.
And if we're getting technical, 2-9. It's not 2-10. They've lost 9 of 11.
Going back to last
yes.
season.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
2-10?
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so.
So get it right if you're going to take a jab after our tingly Monday that we're having here.
Yeah,
trying to rain on the parade here.
We're having a good Monday.
Get it right if you're going to take a jab here. It's 2-9, man.
2-9
Not
in the last
2-10.
11.
Not 2-10.
Don't give us an extra loss.
Yeah.
Let us lose before you give us the extra loss.
Don't make things look bad. They're not that bad. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, yes, momentum is a real thing. And I think we saw that. It felt palpable watching it from home. Just how it felt like they were moving and grooving, and absolutely momentum is 100% a real thing. But I will go back to, did play action work because Joe Burrow was hurt? No.
That had nothing to do with Joe Burrow.
Have the Bengals put up 27 points at all this season?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. They've been struggling all year long. So, I mean, would the game have been closer had Joe Burrow been healthy? Probably.
You could talk yourself into just about anything.
There's no asterisk on this game. When it comes down to the end of the season, when it's deciding the division, you don't look back and say, well, the Titans actually won that game because Joe Burrow was injured, so we're not going to give them that. No, this is the NFL.
This is how it works. And I would say, too, that the theme that I'm looking for is they ran the ball well yesterday. That's where it all started. Then the play action came off. So I looked at the Colts the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, teams have run well against the Colts. I think that's where it's going to all start to try to get off of this. They can't win on the road. If they can run the ball well against the Colts, I think that's where they can get some good things going.
Well, yeah, they got to keep the momentum going. And to me, momentum is a huge thing when it comes to sports. You call it momentum. We all call it momentum, but it's just confidence builders. That's all they are, confidence builders. You go into a game, you win a game in a fashion that you want to win the game in. That builds your confidence for the next week. And if you're able to do it again, then it builds more confidence. It's more momentum. So, yes, we could say momentum, but I think more than anything, it's the confidence that no matter what you do on the other side of the ball, we're going to be able to run what we want to run. That's why, getting that offensive line to be a good run blocking team helps them out in the pass, in the passing game. So I'm sure the offensive line, I'm sure Vrabel is showing clips of, hey, guys, this is what you did good. This is what look at you, Dillard. This is how we want you to play. Look at you, Hubbard. This, Brewer, look at you. He's pointing out guys on that offensive line, and because he wants them to understand, listen, if you just do what we're asking you to do, it's going to work. You're going to be all right. Just look at the plays that I'm pointing out to you. These are good plays. If we just eliminate some of these bad ones, we're going to be a ever changing or getting better offensive line.
I think that's part of it. It's not just winning the game. It's winning the fashion in which you won.
Exactly.
You looked good while doing it. It was a complete 180 from a terrible game in Cleveland. So it's not just, okay, you squeaked by and you kicked one more field goal than the other team. It was you had 4 consecutive scoring drives. I don't remember the last time that's happened for the Titans. So I'll take that. I will take the win, the actual win, and I will take the offense looking better than it has.
I think it happened. When did they play Houston? I think it was 2 years ago.
My God, 2 years ago.
2-3 years ago, the final game of the season where they played Houston and they squeaked that one out in Houston. That was the last time they scored.
Oh Lord!
On
like
4 straight possessions?
Well, in one quarter, like they scored X amount of points in one quarter, like 3 touchdowns in one quarter. That was the last time they did it.
The last time they had 24 at the half was the game in Indy last year.
Yeah, but they didn't score on 3 consecutive drives that game. They just had 24 points.
Right.
I think it was a couple years ago when.
Too long.
Yeah, it was too long ago.
It's been too long.
We need more of that, where they're scoring more, consecutively. Whether it's just getting field goals, just get points. Especially on long drives. You don't want to end a long, 10, 15 play drive and end up not getting any points.
Another texter text in says the Titans are the only team in the division that hasn't rebuilt yet. It has me worried. The Texans, Colts, and Jags all already have their future quarterbacks and young teams. I hope Levis works out. I hope Levis works out too, but the Texans, the Colts, and the Jags rebuilt because they were awful. And the Colts had, 17 different quarterbacks in the span of 2 years. And the Jags were horrendous. The Texans had the whole Deshaun Watson situation and were horrendous for a couple of seasons. The Titans haven't been that bad that they were forced to rebuild. I mean, whether you agree with the decision or not, Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon and A.B. Adams-Strunk decided we would like to win as many games as we possibly can.
I don't think they can afford to sort of go into this rebuild. They can't afford it. Not from a money standpoint, meaning they can't afford it, but I truly believe as good as this fan base is, that if you go into a rebuild, I think you will lose a big portion of them for a good while until you start winning consistently, and they can't do that. They got to keep, especially moving into a new stadium, you got to try to keep this team on a winning path. and rebuilding sets you back.
But
unless you get that quarterback that's just, a franchise type of once every generation type of quarterback.
A Dak Prescott or something that
Mm-hmm.
you don't draft with your first pick, or you're not picking high enough to get one of those guys, and then all of a sudden you get
a
somebody
guy
like him.
Exactly.
Who
that can lead your team.
Unexpectedly, or Brock Purdy, right? That was another lightning strike that has allowed them to get really good quarterback play with a last-round pick. So, but you have to be smart about it, right? You have to kind of gradually turn the roster over and not put all your eggs in one basket. So, again, that's where they are, right? They decided not to rebuild, but they also didn't decide to overspend and kick the can of dead money down the road. They're trying to thread the needle.
Well, what you're trying to do is you're sort of trying to stay ahead of things.
Yeah.
Because you see what they did from a defensive standpoint. They just added some players. They got rid of some players, but they added some players. That defense is young. So you got a young, good defense. Then you got an offense that's a little bit older that now you're trying to usher. So you're trying to do it in waves so it all sort of mesh together. They can't afford to go into a rebuild.
Titans needed to get right, and they got right with a win yesterday against the Bengals. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Stillman and Company is up next.
Be love and love on your people. Peace.